What's up everyone, how are you all? Today we are back with another amazing Naruto story. What if Naruto was abandoned by his parents then awakened the power of a god? If you enjoy then please like, share and do comments. And also check the description box to original creator of this beautiful creation. Naruto's life at the orphanage was far from easy. The villagers, influenced by Danzo's leaks, treated him with fear and hostility. Whispers followed him wherever he went, and parents pulled their children away whenever he approached. Despite this, Naruto's 6 eyes began to manifest, allowing him to sense the emotions of those around him. He didn't understand why he was hated, but he felt a strange connection to the storms that often raged above the village. Bawako Sarutobi, Hiruzen's wife, often visited the orphanage to check on Naruto. She had a soft spot for the boy, seeing him as a grandchild she never had. One afternoon, she found him sitting alone in the courtyard, staring at the darkening sky. "How are you today, little one?" Bawako asked, kneeling beside him. "Bawako Ba-chan," Naruto exclaimed, his face lighting up with a smile. "I'm okay. Look, the clouds are moving fast." Bawako chuckled, handing him a stick of dango. "You're such a sweet boy. Do you like storms, Naruto?" Naruto nodded enthusiastically, his cerulean eyes glowing faintly. "Yeah. They're loud and scary, but they feel like me." Bawako's heart ached at his words. She ruffled his hair gently. "Storms are powerful, Naruto. Just like you. Never forget that." Kakashi Hitaki, now an Anbu operative codenamed Inu, was assigned to watch over Naruto. Though he kept his distance, he couldn't help but feel a sense of responsibility toward his sensei's son. One night, as Naruto sat on the orphanage roof, staring at the stars, Kakashi appeared beside him. "You shouldn't be up here," Kakashi said, his voice calm but firm. "It's dangerous." Naruto turned to him, his eyes wide with curiosity. "Who are you?" "Just someone making sure you're safe," Kakashi replied, his mask hiding his expression. Naruto tilted his head. "Why? Nobody else cares." Kakashi hesitated, his lone visible eye softening. "Your parents, they cared. More than you know." Naruto's expression fell. "I don't have parents. The other kids say they left me because I'm a monster." Kakashi's grip tightened on the edge of the roof. "You're not a monster, Naruto. You're special. And one day, you'll prove that to everyone." Naruto looked at him, a small smile forming. "You think so?" "I know so," Kakashi said before disappearing in a swirl of leaves. Yugo Izuki, Kushina's apprentice, often visited Naruto, bringing him small gifts and stories about his mother. One day, she found him playing with a wooden kunai in the orphanage yard. "Naruto," Yugo called, waving as she approached. "Yugo Ne-chan." Naruto ran to her, his face lighting up. "Did you bring me something?" Yugo laughed, pulling a small stuffed fox from her bag. "This is for you. It's a gift from someone who cares about you very much." Naruto took the fox, his eyes wide with wonder. "It's so cool. Thank you." Yugo knelt, her expression softening. "Your mother, she was the strongest kunoichi I've ever known. She loved you more than anything." "Mama?" Naruto asked, tilting his head. "Where is she?" Yugo hesitated, her heart aching. "She's not here right now, but she's watching over you. Always." Naruto hugged the stuffed fox tightly. "I'll keep this safe. For Mama." Makoto Uchiha, Kushina's close friend, often brought her son Sasuke to visit Naruto. She saw the boy as a reminder of her dear friend and made sure to treat him with kindness. One sunny afternoon, she arrived at the orphanage with Sasuke in tow. "Naruto," Makoto called, smiling warmly. "I brought someone to play with you." Naruto ran over, his eyes lighting up when he saw Sasuke. "Hi, I'm Naruto." Sasuke, ever the serious toddler, crossed his arms. "I'm Sasuke." Makoto chuckled. "Why don't you two play together? I brought some toys." The two toddlers spent the afternoon playing, their laughter filling the orphanage yard. Makoto watched them with a bittersweet smile, hoping their friendship would endure. "Naruto," Makoto said as she prepared to leave, "you're always welcome at our home. Anytime." Naruto beamed. "Thank you, Makoto Obaa-chan." One day, Hinata Hyuga, accompanied by her father Hiashi, visited the orphanage to deliver supplies. She noticed Naruto playing alone and approached him shyly. "Hi, I'm Hinata," she said, blushing. "Hi, Hinata," Naruto replied, smiling. "Wanna play?" Hinata nodded, her cheeks turning red as they played together. It was a brief but meaningful encounter, the start of a bond that would grow stronger over time. Tsunade sat in her office, staring at a dusty scroll bearing Mito Uzumaki's seal. She hesitated before picking it up. "Mother, I never understood why you kept these hidden," Tsunade muttered to herself. "But maybe it's time." She stood, her resolve firm, and headed to the orphanage. There, she found Naruto playing alone in the rain, his cerulean eyes glowing faintly. "Naruto, there's something I need to give you," Tsunade said, kneeling beside him. She handed him the scroll, her expression softening. "For me?" Naruto asked, tilting his head. "Yes," Tsunade replied, smiling faintly. "It's your heritage, and one day, it'll help you protect the people you care about." Naruto clutched the scroll tightly, his eyes wide with curiosity. "What's inside?" "Secrets," Tsunade said. "Secrets of the Uzumaki clan. Study them well, Naruto. They'll make you strong." Hiruzen watched from a distance as Tsunade left. He approached Naruto, who was now clutching the scroll tightly. "That scroll is a gift, Naruto," Hiruzen said, gesturing to the scroll. "A gift from your ancestors. Study it well." "I will, Grandpa," Naruto replied, nodding enthusiastically. Hiruzen's heart swelled with pride and determination. He looked toward the Hokage monument, his resolve unwavering. No matter what Danzo plans, Hiruzen thought to himself, I won't let him destroy this child's future. The storm raged on, lightning illuminating Naruto's tiny figure. In that moment, Hiruzen saw not just a child, but the future of the Hidden Leaf. The storm was his to command, and the world would soon learn to fear the name Naruto Uzumaki. The Ninja Academy buzzed with excitement as new students filed into the classroom. Naruto, now 6 years old, sat near the back, his cerulean eyes scanning the room. He felt out of place, as he always did, but today was different. Today, he was determined to prove himself. Iruka Amino, the academy instructor, stood at the front of the class, smiling warmly. "Welcome, everyone. Today marks the beginning of your journey to becoming shinobi of the Hidden Leaf. Let's start by introducing ourselves." One by one, the students stood up and shared their names and dreams. When it was Naruto's turn, he hesitated for a moment before standing. "I'm Naruto Uzumaki," he declared, his voice loud and confident. "And I'm gonna be the strongest shinobi ever." The class erupted into laughter, but Naruto didn't care. He had a dream, and nothing would stop him. After class, Yugo Azuki waited for Naruto outside the academy. She had taken a special interest in him, seeing him as a way to honor Kushina's memory. "How was your first day, Naruto?" Yugo asked, smiling. "It was awesome," Naruto replied, grinning. "But I don't think anyone likes me." Yugo knelt down, placing a hand on his shoulder. "Don't worry about them. You're special, Naruto, and I'm going to help you show everyone just how special you are." She handed him a wooden sword, its surface etched with intricate seals. "This is a chakra boken. It's no ordinary sword. It gets heavier the more chakra you pour into it. It'll help you build strength and control." Naruto's eyes lit up as he took the sword. "This is so cool. Thank you, Yugo Ne-chan." Hiruzen often took time off from his duties as Hokage to spend time with Naruto. One evening, they sat on the Hokage monument, overlooking the village. "Chakra is the life force that flows within all living things," Hiruzen explained. "It's the foundation of all ninja techniques. To master it, you must understand its intricacies." Naruto listened intently, his 6 eyes glowing faintly as he absorbed every word. "So, if I can control my chakra better, I'll get stronger?" Hiruzen nodded. "Exactly. And with your unique abilities, you have the potential to surpass even the greatest shinobi." Tsunade, true to her word, began teaching Naruto the basics of chakra control. They started with simple exercises, like walking on water and tree climbing. "Chakra control is the key to mastering any technique," Tsunade said as she demonstrated the proper hand seals. "Once you've got this down, I'll teach you something even more powerful." Naruto's eyes sparkled with excitement. "What is it?" Tsunade smirked. "A secret technique of mine. It'll be the foundation of your flowing explosion fist style." Naruto spent hours studying Mito Uzumaki's scrolls, fascinated by the intricate seals and their potential. He began experimenting with basic sealing techniques, much to the annoyance of the orphanage staff. One day, he managed to create a small explosion using a rudimentary seal. The staff scolded him, but Naruto couldn't stop grinning. He was making progress. Naruto's life took a mischievous turn when he met Enko Mitarashi, a kunoichi ostracized by the villagers for being Orochimaru's former apprentice. Enko saw a kindred spirit in Naruto and took him under her wing. "You know what this village needs?" Enko said one day, a mischievous glint in her eyes. "A good prank." Naruto's eyes lit up. "A prank?" Enko grinned. "Yeah, something to shake things up. What do you say, kid? Wanna cause some chaos?" Naruto didn't need to be asked twice. Using his growing knowledge of seals and his natural ingenuity, he began pulling off elaborate pranks. From painting the Hokage monument to setting up harmless traps around the village, Naruto became the village's resident troublemaker. Hiruzen, surprisingly, let the pranks slide. He saw them as a way to keep the village's shinobi on their toes and train them to spot enemy traps. Far from the hidden leaf, Minato and Kushina were busy training Menma and Mito. The daimyo's residence provided a secluded environment where they could focus on honing their children's abilities. "Menma, focus your chakra into the kunai," Minato instructed, his voice calm but firm. "Precision is key." Menma nodded, his expression serious as he practiced the technique. Nearby, Kushina worked with Mito, teaching her the basics of the Uzumaki clan's sealing techniques. "You're doing great, Mito," Kushina said, smiling proudly. "Just remember to keep your chakra flow steady." Mito beamed at her mother's praise, her determination unwavering. Despite the distance from their brother, the twins felt a strange connection to him, as if their shared chakra bound them together. One evening, Jiraiya arrived at the daimyo's residence, his travel pack slung over his shoulder. Minato and Kushina were surprised but pleased to see him. "Jiraiya-sensei," Minato greeted, smiling. "What brings you here?" "I came to check on you and the kids," Jiraiya replied, his expression softening as he looked at Menma and Mito. "And to see how Naruto's doing." Kushina's eyes filled with tears. "How is he?" "He's strong," Jiraiya said, his voice gentle. "Just like his parents. But the village, they're not kind to him." Minato's expression darkened. "We knew this would happen. But it doesn't make it any easier." Jiraiya placed a hand on Minato's shoulder. "I'll keep an eye on him. And I'll train Menma and Mito when I can. They'll need to be ready for what's coming." Kushina nodded, her tears falling freely. "Thank you, Jiraiya. Please, keep him safe." While Naruto was busy pranking the village, Danzo was weaving a darker plot. He spread rumors about the Uchiha clan's involvement in the Nine-Tails attack, fueling the villagers' distrust. The Uchiha, already ostracized, began to whisper of rebellion. Hiruzen, desperate to avoid a civil war, made a difficult decision. He tasked Itachi Uchiha and Shisui Uchiha with eliminating the Uchiha clan members planning to rebel, and the root operatives who were fanning the flames. "This is the only way to maintain peace," Hiruzen said, his voice heavy with regret. "The Uchiha's reputation must be preserved, and Danzo must be held accountable." Itachi and Shisui accepted the mission, their hearts heavy but their resolve unwavering. Under the cover of darkness, Itachi and Shisui moved through the Uchiha compound, their movements swift and precise. They targeted the rogue Uchiha members who had been plotting rebellion, as well as the root operatives who had infiltrated the clan. "This is for the village," Itachi whispered as he struck down another target, his Sharingan glowing in the night. Shisui nodded, his expression grim. "And for the future of the Uchiha." By dawn, the rogue elements within the Uchiha clan had been eliminated. The compound was eerily silent, the weight of the night's events hanging heavy in the air. With the rogue members gone, Makoto Uchiha stepped forward to take control of the clan. She had always been a voice of reason within the Uchiha, and now, she was determined to lead them toward a brighter future. "The Uchiha clan will no longer be divided," Makoto declared, her voice firm as she addressed the remaining clan members. "We will rebuild our reputation and prove our loyalty to the village." The Uchiha, though shaken, rallied behind Makoto. Her leadership brought a sense of stability to the clan, and for the first time in years, there was hope for reconciliation with the village. Danzo sat in his dimly lit office, his expression unreadable as he addressed a group of root operatives. "The boy is a threat," Danzo said, his voice cold. "His very existence jeopardizes the stability of the village. Ensure he remains isolated. If he shows any signs of becoming a danger, eliminate him." Root operative. Understood, Lord Danzo. And the Uchiha? Danzo smirked. Let them stew in their resentment. The more divided the village, the stronger our position becomes. Hiruzen, aware of Danzo's manipulations, decided to take action. He summoned Danzo to the Hokage's office, his expression stern. Danzo, your actions have gone too far, Hiruzen said, his voice firm. I am disbanding Root. Effective immediately, all Root operatives are to report to me. Danzo's eye narrowed, but he remained calm. You're making a mistake, Hiruzen. The village needs Root to survive. The village needs unity, not division, Hiruzen replied. This is my final decision. Danzo left the office, his mind already plotting his next move. He knew he couldn't stop completely, but he would have to be more careful. Danzo met with Orochimaru in a hidden location, their alliance forged in secrecy. Hiruzen has become a liability, Danzo said, his voice cold. It's time we removed him from power. Orochimaru smirked. And what do you propose, Danzo? We'll need to weaken his support, Danzo replied. And when the time is right, we'll strike. Orochimaru's eyes gleamed with anticipation. I look forward to it. As Naruto continued his training and pranks, he began to form bonds with his classmates. Shikamaru Nara admired his ingenuity, Choji Akamichi shared his love for food, and Kiba Inuzuka joined him in his mischief. Even Sakura Haruno and Ino Yamanaka, who initially dismissed him, began to see his potential. One day, during a sparring session, Naruto faced off against Sasuke Uchiha. The two boys circled each other, their eyes locked in determination. You're not so tough, Naruto, Sasuke said, smirking. We'll see about that, Naruto replied, gripping his chakra boken. The match was intense, with Naruto's raw talent and Sasuke's precision clashing in a flurry of blows. In the end, neither boy emerged victorious, but they gained a newfound respect for each other. As the sun set over the village, Naruto stood on the Hokage monument, his chakra boken resting on his shoulder. The storm clouds above mirrored the turmoil in his heart. I'm gonna be the strongest, Naruto whispered, his 6 eyes glowing faintly. For everyone who believes in me. In the distance, lightning flashed, and the wind howled. The storm was gathering, and so was Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto stood in the training grounds, his chakra boken resting on his shoulder. Yugo watched from the sidelines, her arms crossed as she observed his movements. Focus, Naruto, Yugo said, her voice firm. The chakra boken is an extension of your will. Pour your chakra into it, but don't let it overwhelm you. Naruto nodded, his 6 eyes glowing faintly as he focused on the sword. He swung it in a wide arc, the blade humming with chakra. The weight of the sword increased as he poured more chakra into it, but he refused to let it slow him down. Good, Yugo said, nodding approvingly. You're getting better. But remember, Kenjutsu isn't just about strength. It's about precision and control. Naruto grinned, wiping sweat from his brow. I'll get it, Yugo Ne-chan. Just you wait. At the academy, Iruka announced the formation of teams for the upcoming graduation exam. Naruto found himself paired with Sasuke Uchiha and Sakura Haruno, much to his excitement and their dismay. Team 7 will consist of Naruto Uzumaki, Sasuke Uchiha, and Sakura Haruno, Iruka said, smiling. I expect great things from you three. Sasuke crossed his arms, his expression stoic. TCH. This is going to be a waste of time. Sakura sighed, glancing at Sasuke with a blush. At least I'm on the same team as Sasuke-kun. Naruto, however, was thrilled. Alright, team, we're gonna be the best team ever. Their first team exercise was a survival challenge in the Forest of Death. The trio struggled to work together at first, with Sasuke's arrogance and Sakura's infatuation causing friction. However, Naruto's determination and quick thinking helped them overcome obstacles, earning them a passing grade. By the end of the exercise, Sasuke begrudgingly acknowledged Naruto's potential, while Sakura began to see him as more than just a class clown. Later that day, Naruto met Mikoto Uchiha at a secluded training ground. Mikoto had offered to help him counter Genjutsu, a skill she believed would be crucial for his growth. Genjutsu is the art of illusion, Mikoto explained, her Sharingan active. It manipulates your senses, making you see, hear, or feel things that aren't there. To counter it, you must learn to recognize when you're under its influence and disrupt the chakra flow in your brain. Naruto frowned, his 6 eyes narrowing. How do I do that? Makoto smiled. By sharpening your perception and learning to control your chakra with precision. Let's start with a simple exercise. She cast a basic genjutsu, causing Naruto to see a swarm of butterflies around him. At first, he was mesmerized, but then he remembered Makoto's advice. Focusing his chakra, he disrupted the illusion, causing the butterflies to vanish. Good, Makoto said, nodding approvingly. You're a quick learner, Naruto. With practice, you'll be able to counter even the most advanced genjutsu. Naruto grinned. Thanks, Makoto Obaa-chan. I'll make sure no one can trick me. The next day, Naruto met Tsunade at a different training ground. She had promised to help him improve his chakra control and taijutsu, two areas where he struggled. Chakra control is the foundation of all ninja techniques, Tsunade said, her hands on her hips. If you can't control your chakra, you'll never reach your full potential. She demonstrated the proper hand seals for a basic water walking exercise. Focus your chakra into your feet and maintain a steady flow. Too much, and you'll sink. Too little, and you'll fall. Naruto nodded, his 6 eyes glowing faintly as he concentrated. He stepped onto the water, wobbling at first but eventually finding his balance. Not bad, Tsunade said, smirking. But you've got a long way to go. Now, let's work on your taijutsu. She assumed a fighting stance, her movements fluid and precise. Taijutsu is about using your body as a weapon. Speed, strength, and technique are key. Watch and learn. Naruto watched intently as Tsunade demonstrated a series of strikes and counters. When it was his turn, he mimicked her movements, his 6 eyes allowing him to replicate her techniques with surprising accuracy. You've got potential, kid, Tsunade said, nodding approvingly. But don't get cocky. You've still got a lot to learn. Naruto grinned. I'll get there, Tsunade-ba-chan. Just you wait. Naruto's life took a mischievous turn when he met Anko Mitarashi, a kunoichi ostracized by the villagers for being Orochimaru's former apprentice. Anko saw a kindred spirit in Naruto and took him under her wing. What started as a mentorship quickly turned into a full-blown prank war, with each trying to outdo the other. Naruto's best prank. Naruto's crowning achievement came when he swapped all of Kakashi's beloved Icha books with yaoi versions of the same series. Kakashi, upon discovering the books, was horrified. He spent the next hour washing his eyes with bleach, muttering, Why would anyone write this? Anko's best prank. Anko, not one to be outdone, targeted the civilian council members. She coated their clothes with a special aphrodisiac that attracted dogs. Then, she snuck into the Inuzuka clan's kennels and released the dogs into the village. The council members were chased relentlessly, unable to leave their homes for days out of fear of being humped by the overly enthusiastic canines. The pranks escalated to the point where Hiruzen had to step in. He summoned Naruto and Anko to his office, his expression a mix of amusement and exasperation. While I appreciate your creativity, Hiruzen said, rubbing his temples, the chaos you've caused is disrupting the village. I'm putting an end to this prank war. Naruto and Anko exchanged guilty glances but couldn't hide their smirks. Hiruzen sighed, adding, and as much as I'd like to let you continue getting revenge on the civilians, the paperwork I've received because of your antics is overwhelming. Consider this your final warning. Hiruzen, surprisingly, let the pranks slide. He saw them as a way to keep the village's shinobi on their toes and train them to spot enemy traps. One evening, Hiruzen called Naruto to his office. He had decided it was time to tell Naruto about his family. Naruto, Hiruzen began, his voice gentle. There's something you need to know about your parents. Naruto's eyes widened. My parents? You know who they are? Hiruzen nodded. Your father was Minato Namikaze, the 4th Hokage. Your mother was Kushina Uzumaki, a kunoichi of incredible strength and kindness. Naruto's heart raced as he absorbed the information. Why didn't they stay with me? Hiruzen sighed. They made a difficult decision to protect you and the village. But they loved you very much, Naruto. And they would be proud of the person you're becoming. Tears welled up in Naruto's eyes, but he quickly wiped them away. I'll make them proud, Grandpa. I promise. Meanwhile, Makoto worked tirelessly to rebuild the Uchiha clan's reputation. She held meetings with the clan members, urging them to focus on their duties and prove their loyalty to the village. We must show the village that we are not their enemies, Makoto said, her voice firm. Our strength lies in our unity and our commitment to protecting Konoha. Sasuke, inspired by his mother's leadership, began to take his training more seriously. He saw Naruto as a rival and a friend, someone who pushed him to be better. Danzo sat in his dimly lit office, his expression unreadable as he addressed a group of rude operatives. The Uchiha clan is weakened, but not yet broken, Danzo said, his voice cold. We must ensure they remain divided. And as for the boy, he is a threat that must be contained. Rude operative. Understood, Lord Danzo. What are your orders? Danzo smirked. Continue to spread dissent among the clans. And keep a close eye on Naruto Uzumaki. His potential is too dangerous to ignore. Hiruzen sat in his office, his expression heavy with worry. The recent events had taken a toll on the village, and he knew that darker times lay ahead. Danzo's schemes are becoming bolder, Hiruzen muttered to himself. And Orochimaru's experiments. I fear what they're planning. He glanced at a photo of Naruto on his desk, a small smile forming. But perhaps, there is hope. If Naruto can unlock his full potential, he may be the key to saving us all. As the sun set over the village, Naruto stood on the Hokage monument, his chakra boken resting on his shoulder. The storm clouds above mirrored the turmoil in his heart. I'm gonna be the strongest, Naruto whispered, his 6 eyes glowing faintly. For everyone who believes in me. In the distance, lightning flashed, and the wind howled. The spark of potential was growing, and so was Naruto Uzumaki. The morning sun cast a golden glow over Training Ground 7, where Team 7 stood assembled, awaiting their sensei. Naruto adjusted the strap of his tanto, a gift from Yugo during their kenjutsu training sessions. His fingers brushed over the Uzumaki spiral etched into the hilt, a reminder of the legacy he carried. Beside him, Sasuke leaned against a tree, arms crossed, while Sakura fidgeted nervously. Do you think Kakashi-sensei will actually show up on time? Sakura asked, glancing at the clock. Naruto grinned. Knowing him, he'll be late just to mess with us. As if on cue, Kakashi appeared in a puff of smoke, his ever-present book in hand. Good morning, my adorable little genin. Ready for your first test? Sasuke's eyes narrowed. Just get on with it. Kakashi's eye curved into a smile. The rules are simple. You have until noon to take these 2 bells from me. He held up the bells, letting them chime in the breeze. Whoever fails to get a bell will be sent back to the academy. Oh, and one more thing. Come at me with the intent to kill. Naruto's heart raced, but his mind was already working. He had spent years preparing for this moment, honing his skills under the guidance of Tsunade, Yugo, and Mikoto. This was his chance to prove himself. As soon as Kakashi gave the signal, Naruto darted into the trees, his hands already weaving seals. He had learned the art of trap making from his pranks with Anko, and now he put that knowledge to use. Explosive tags, hidden wires, and sealing scrolls were strategically placed around the training ground. He even used his gale palm to create subtle wind currents that would trigger the traps at the right moment. Kakashi, meanwhile, strolled casually through the field, his Sharingan scanning for threats. He paused as he sensed a faint chakra signature. Not bad, he muttered, just before a smoke bomb exploded at his feet. Naruto smirked from his hiding spot. Gotcha. But Kakashi emerged unscathed, his book still in hand. Cute trick, but you'll have to do better than that. Naruto leapt from the trees, tanto in hand, and charged at Kakashi. Their blades clashed in a flurry of sparks, Naruto's movements fluid and precise. Yugo's training had paid off, and he held his own against the legendary copy ninja. Kenjutsu, huh? Kakashi said, deflecting Naruto's strikes with ease. You've been busy. Naruto didn't respond, focusing instead on his next move. He disengaged and formed a series of hand seals. Water release, water wall. A wall of water erupted between them, forcing Kakashi to retreat. Before Kakashi could recover, Naruto followed up with lightning release, thunderbolt. A bolt of lightning arced through the air, striking Kakashi's position. The ground erupted in a shower of dirt and debris. Naruto panted, his 6 eyes scanning the area for any sign of his sensei. Did I get him? Not even close, Kakashi's voice came from behind him. Naruto barely dodged a kick, rolling to his feet just in time. Kakashi's eye widened as he noticed the faint glow of a seal on Naruto's forehead. Is that The strength of 100 seal? Naruto grinned, activating the seal. His body surged with chakra, and he moved faster than Kakashi anticipated. Their fists collided, the impact sending shockwaves through the training ground. "Tsunade Ba-chan taught me well," Naruto said, his voice steady despite the strain of maintaining the seal. Kakashi nodded, impressed. "You've come a long way, Naruto. But let's see how you handle this." He formed a hand seal, and the ground beneath Naruto erupted in a wave of earth. As Naruto struggled to regain his footing, Sasuke and Sakura joined the fray. Sasuke unleashed a barrage of shuriken, while Sakura used her chakra-enhanced strength to create openings. Naruto seized the opportunity, using his Gale Palm to amplify Sakura's attack and send Kakashi flying. With Kakashi momentarily distracted, Naruto activated a sealing scroll he had hidden earlier. Chains of chakra erupted from the ground, binding Kakashi in place. "Now," Naruto shouted. Sasuke and Sakura moved in unison, their combined efforts finally snatching one of the bells from Kakashi's grasp. As the dust settled, Kakashi stood before his team, a rare smile on his face. "Not bad, you three. You actually worked together." Naruto grinned, though his body ached from the fight. "Does this mean we pass?" Kakashi nodded. "You've shown me what you're capable of. But remember, this is just the beginning. The road ahead won't be easy." As the team celebrated their victory, Naruto's thoughts turned to the future. He had proven himself today, but there was still so much to learn. The Tempest Gale breathing style, the mysteries of his Uzumaki heritage, and the full potential of his 6 eyes awaited him. And somewhere, in the shadows, Danzo watched with a calculating gaze. Naruto Uzumaki was no longer just an orphan, he was a force to be reckoned with. The Hokage's office was bathed in the warm glow of the afternoon sun, but the atmosphere inside was anything but calm. Team 7 stood before Hiruzen Sarutobi, their faces a mix of frustration and exhaustion. In Iruka's arms squirmed Tora, the infamous demon cat, who had once again proven why she was the bane of every genin's existence. "I can't believe we spent 3 hours chasing that stupid cat." Sakura groaned, her hair disheveled and her clothes covered in scratches. Sasuke crossed his arms, his expression dark. "This is a waste of time. We're not here to play fetch with animals." Naruto, however, was oddly cheerful. "Hey, at least we got some exercise, right? And Tora's not so bad once you get to know her." He reached out to pet the cat, only to have his hand swatted away. Hiruzen chuckled, puffing on his pipe. "Ah, the trials of being a genin. You'll look back on these days fondly, I assure you." Kakashi, leaning against the wall, gave a lazy smile. "They'll learn, eventually." Sasuke's pride flared. "We're not here to waste time on petty missions. Give us something real." Sakura nodded in agreement, though her enthusiasm was more about supporting Sasuke than any desire for danger. "Yeah, we're ready for something tougher." Naruto and Kakashi exchanged a look, both dumbfounded by their teammates' audacity. Iruka, standing nearby, cleared his throat. "Do you two realize who you're talking to? This is the Hokage, not some mission desk clerk." Hiruzen's eyes narrowed slightly, and a wave of killing intent filled the room. Sakura and Sasuke froze, their bravado evaporating instantly. "You will show respect," Hiruzen said calmly, though his tone left no room for argument. "Now, Kakashi, do you believe your team is ready for a C-rank mission?" Kakashi shrugged. "They're green, but they've got potential. I'll keep them in line." Hiruzen nodded and gestured to the door. "Bring him in." The door opened, and a disheveled man stumbled into the room. He reeked of alcohol and had a mocking grin plastered across his face. "So, these are the brats who were supposed to protect me? Ha, you've got to be kidding me." Naruto raised an eyebrow, instantly suspicious. "Who's this guy?" Tazuna, Hiruzen introduced. "A bridge builder from the Land of Waves. He's requested an escort to his home." Tazuna laughed, pointing at Sakura and Sasuke. "You two look like you've never seen a fight in your life. And you," he turned to Kakashi. "What's with the mask? Trying to hide your face because it's too ugly?" Kakashi's eye curved into a smile, though his tone was dry. "Charming." Tazuna's gaze finally landed on Naruto. For a moment, his mocking demeanor faltered, as if he sensed something different about the boy. But he quickly recovered, waving a hand dismissively. "Whatever. Just get me home in one piece. All right?" Hiruzen leaned back in his chair, his expression unreadable. Kakashi, Naruto, I trust you'll handle this mission with the utmost care. Kakashi nodded. Understood. Naruto saluted with a grin. Don't worry, old man. We've got this. 2 hours later, Team 7 assembled at Konoha's gate. Naruto had spent the time saying goodbye to those closest to him. Tsunade had ruffled his hair and reminded him to stay safe, while Makoto had given him a packed lunch. Bawako and Shizune had wished him luck, and he'd even tried to find Yugo and Anko, only to learn they were on missions. Now, standing with his team, Naruto felt a surge of excitement. This was it, their first real mission. Kakashi glanced at his team. Alright, everyone ready? Let's just get this over with, Sasuke muttered. Sakura nodded, though her nerves were evident. Ready, Naruto grinned. Let's do this. The journey started peacefully, with Tazuna grumbling about the pace and the heat. But as they approached a dense part of the forest, Naruto's 6 eyes picked up on something unusual. A puddle on the road, despite the lack of recent rain. He subtly signaled to Kakashi, who gave an almost imperceptible nod. Kakashi had already sensed the hidden threat. Keep moving, Kakashi said casually, though his tone carried a hidden warning. As they passed the puddle, 2 figures burst out, their chains whipping through the air. They targeted Kakashi, wrapping him in their chains and slicing him in half. Sakura screamed, and Sasuke's eyes widened in shock. But Naruto remained calm, his 6 eyes seeing through the illusion. It's a genjutsu, he muttered. The attackers, the demon brothers, turned their attention to Tazuna. You're next, old man, one of them snarled. But before they could strike, Naruto and Sasuke moved. Naruto's gale palm sent one brother flying, while Sasuke's shuriken forced the other to retreat. Kakashi appeared from the trees, his book in hand. Good job, you two. But next time, try to keep your reactions under control, Sakura glared at him. You could have warned us, Kakashi shrugged. Where's the fun in that? As they continued their journey, a heavy mist rolled in, reducing visibility to almost zero. Naruto's 6 eyes glowed faintly, allowing him to see through the haze. He tightened his grip on his tanto, his senses on high alert. Sasuke and Sakura stood beside him, their breathing shallow but determined. Kakashi, ever calm, observed the situation with his Sharingan eye exposed. Stay close, Kakashi warned. This guy's not like the others. A deep, mocking laugh echoed through the mist. Kakashi Hitaki, the copy ninja, Zabuza's voice boomed. I've heard a lot about you. But these brats, they're nothing more than cannon fodder. Naruto's eyes narrowed. We'll see about that. Zabuza materialized from the mist, his massive Kabikirabocho, executioner's blade, resting on his shoulder. His presence was overwhelming, his killing intent palpable. Let's see how long you last. Zabuza moved faster than anyone expected, his blade slicing through the air with a deafening roar. Kakashi intercepted the attack, his kunai clashing against Zabuza's sword. The force of the impact sent shockwaves through the ground. Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, stay back. Kakashi ordered, his voice sharp. But Naruto wasn't about to sit on the sidelines. We're a team, Kakashi-sensei. We fight together, Zabuza smirked. Brave words, kid, let's see if you can back them up. Naruto darted forward, his tanto gleaming in the dim light. He aimed a precise strike at Zabuza's side, but the rogue ninja deflected it effortlessly. Zabuza countered with a sweeping slash, forcing Naruto to leap back. Not bad, Zabuza admitted. But you'll need more than that to scratch me, Naruto grinned. Oh, I'm just getting started. He formed a series of hand seals. Lightning release, thunderbolt. A bolt of lightning shot from his hand, striking Zabuza's blade. The electricity coursed through the metal, forcing Zabuza to drop it momentarily. Sasuke, now. Naruto shouted. Sasuke didn't need to be told twice. He launched a barrage of shuriken, each one aimed with deadly precision. Zabuza dodged most of them, but one grazed his arm, drawing blood. Zabuza's expression darkened. You brats are starting to annoy me. He formed a hand seal and the mist thickened even further. Silent killing technique. Zabuza vanished into the mist, his presence becoming undetectable. Naruto's 6 eyes allowed him to sense Zabuza's movements, but even he struggled to keep up. Stay close. Naruto warned his teammates. He's coming. Zabuza appeared behind Sakura, his blade raised. But before he could strike, Naruto intercepted him, their blades clashing in a shower of sparks. You're fast, Zabuza admitted. But not fast enough. He kicked Naruto back, sending him skidding across the ground. Sasuke tried to attack from the side, but Zabuza caught his wrist and threw him into a tree. Kakashi finally stepped in, his Sharingan spinning. Enough! He and Zabuza clashed in a flurry of strikes, their movements too fast for the genin to follow. Kakashi's precision and Zabuza's brute strength were evenly matched, but Kakashi's experience gave him the edge. You're good, Zabuza admitted, breathing heavily. But I'm better. Kakashi's eye narrowed. We'll see. Naruto pushed himself to his feet, his body aching but his determination unwavering. He formed a series of hand seals, channeling his chakra into his tanto. The blade crackled with lightning, its glow cutting through the mist. Sasuke, Sakura, cover me. Naruto shouted. Sasuke nodded, launching another round of shuriken to distract Zabuza. Sakura used her chakra-enhanced strength to create a diversion, slamming her fist into the ground and sending debris flying. Naruto charged forward, his lightning-infused blade aimed straight at Zabuza. The rogue ninja blocked the attack, but the force of the lightning sent him stumbling back. Naruto didn't let up. He pressed the attack, his movements fueled by sheer willpower. Zabuza, caught off guard by Naruto's relentless assault, left an opening. Naruto seized the opportunity, slashing Zabuza's side with his tanto. Zabuza grunted in pain, his hand clutching the wound. You little, before he could finish, Kakashi appeared behind him, kunai at his throat. It's over, Zabuza. Just as Kakashi was about to deliver the final blow, a flurry of senbon needles rained down from above, forcing Kakashi to retreat. A figure landed gracefully between Zabuza and Team 7, their mask glinting in the dim light. Hunter Nin, Kakashi muttered, his tone wary. The figure removed their mask, revealing a young, androgynous face. I'll take it from here, Haku said, their voice calm but firm. Zabuza smirked, despite his injury. Took you long enough. Haku ignored the comment, their focus on Team 7. You've done well to injure Zabuza, but this is as far as you go. Naruto stepped forward, his tanto still crackling with lightning. We're not done yet. Haku's eyes softened slightly. You're brave, but this fight is over. With a wave of their hand, Haku created a wall of ice, separating Team 7 from Zabuza. By the time the ice melted, both Zabuza and Haku were gone. Kakashi sighed, sheathing his kunai. They're gone. Naruto clenched his fists, frustration evident on his face. We almost had him. Kakashi placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder. You did well. Zabuza's not an easy opponent. Sasuke and Sakura nodded in agreement, though their exhaustion was clear. As they made their way to Tazuna's home, Naruto couldn't shake the image of Haku's calm demeanor. Who was that? He asked. Kakashi's expression was grim. A hunter nin from KingHKS. This mission just got a lot more complicated. The mood at Tazuna's house was heavy. Inari, a boy with sunken eyes and a hollow stare, sat silently at the dinner table, pushing around his food. Tsunami, his mother, touched his shoulder gently, but he shrugged it off. Why bother? Inari muttered. Everyone dies anyway. Naruto's chopsticks froze midair. The words struck a chord deeper than he expected. Before he could respond, Tsunami sighed. His father, Kaiza, he was a hero. He stood up to Gato to protect this village. They drowned him in the ocean as a warning. A flashback unfolded. Kaiza, a towering man with a kind smile, rallied the villagers to rebuild the bridge. Hope is the one thing Gato can't steal, he declared. But one night, Gato's thugs dragged him away. Inari watched, screaming, as his father was tied to an anchor and thrown into the sea. Naruto stood abruptly, his chair scraping the floor. I'll be back. He vanished into the village, spending hours repairing roofs, hauling supplies, and sharing stories with the villagers. A child handed him a carved wooden frog, a symbol of hope. The next morning, Kakashi gathered Team 7 by the river. Naruto, you'll learn wind release, breakthrough. Sasuke, Sakura. Water walking. Sasuke smirked. Already mastered tree walking. This'll be easy. Kakashi raised an eyebrow. Let's see. Sasuke stepped onto the river and plunged in. Sakura giggled until Kakashi tossed her in too. Naruto, meanwhile, channeled chakra into his palms, unleashing a gust of wind that split the river. That night, Inari's words haunted Naruto. "Nobody cares about you. You're just a tool." He slipped into the forest, training until his legs gave out. Naruto awoke to a soft voice. "You'll catch a cold sleeping here." A girl knelt beside him, her raven hair cascading over a pale kimono. She held a basket of herbs. "I'm Haku. My friend is unwell." Naruto grinned. "Need help?" They wandered the moonlit forest, Haku's laughter like wind chimes. "Strength means nothing without someone to protect," Haku mused. Naruto nodded. "Yeah, that's why I'll never give up." Haku paused, her expression softening. "You're kind, Naruto-kun. But kindness can be dangerous in our world." Naruto's 6 eyes flickered, dissecting Haku's chakra. He noticed the faint glow of a seal on the back of her neck but said nothing. "You're not like the others, Haku. You don't have to be alone." Haku's cheeks flushed. "You're different too." As they parted ways, Haku hesitated. "Naruto-kun, thank you." In a shadowy warehouse, Gato sneered at Zabuza. "You failed. Where's Tazuna's head?" Haku stepped forward, senbon glinting. "Threaten Zabuza-sama again, and you'll regret it." Gato retreated, but his snarl promised vengeance. "Burn the bridge. Kill them all." Dawn. Heavy mist. Team 7 arrived to find workers bloodied but alive. Zabuza emerged from the fog, Kabikirabocho dripping malice. Round 2, Kakashi. Kakashi's Sharingan spun. "Stay sharp." Haku's voice echoed from every mirror. "You cannot win. Surrender." Sasuke's eyes darted, tracking the faint distortions in the ice. A senbon whistled past his ear, drawing blood. Too fast. He activated his Sharingan, one tomo spinning, and barely dodged the next volley. Fire release. Great fireball. Sasuke exhaled flames, but the ice mirrors refracted the blast, scorching his sleeve. Haku emerged from a mirror, landing a kick to his ribs. "Pathetic," Haku said softly. "Your eyes see, but your body cannot keep up." Naruto's 6 eyes pulsed, analyzing the chakra threads binding the mirrors. "There, a weak point." He slammed his palm into the ground. Wind release. Breakthrough. A cyclone erupted, cracking 2 mirrors. Haku retaliated, and senbon rained down like silver rain. Naruto weaved through them, his tanto deflecting strikes with uncanny precision. "I can see your movements, Haku." "Can you?" Haku whispered, appearing behind him. A senbon grazed Naruto's neck, but he pivoted, grabbing Haku's wrist. Their eyes met. Haku's gaze flickered with something unreadable. A senbon meant for Naruto's heart veered as Sasuke tackled him. "Idiot! Pay attention." Naruto's vision shifted. The world fractured into layers, chakra veins pulsing in Haku's hands. The icy lattice of the mirrors, thrumming with water-natured energy. A dark seal coiled around Haku's neck, pulsing like a parasite. "I see it," Naruto breathed. He channeled lightning chakra into his tanto, the blade crackling like a storm. Lightning release. Thunderclap flash. The strike shattered 3 mirrors, sending ice shrapnel flying. Haku staggered, blood trickling from a cut. "You see too much." Naruto lunged, not at Haku, but at the air beside her. His fingers glowed with Uzumaki sealing glyphs. Release. The seal on Haku's neck shattered. Memories flooded her mind. Zabuza slaughtering her family during Kiri's bloodline purge. The false promise of salvation. The seal burrowed into her skin, bending her will. Haku screamed, collapsing. "Why? Why did you free me?" "Because you're not a weapon," Naruto said, panting. "You're a person." Zabuza roared, charging Kakashi. Their blades clashed in a storm of sparks. "You stole Haku from me." Zabuza snarled. "You never deserved her," Kakashi countered, driving a kunai into Zabuza's shoulder. The rogue ninja faltered, blood pooling at his feet. "Haku was my masterpiece." "She was your victim," Kakashi said coldly. Lightning cutter. The Chidori pierced Zabuza's chest. He fell, his last breath a curse drowned by the waves. Gato's thugs swarmed the bridge, crossbows aimed. "Kill them all." Naruto's vision burned crimson. Kyuubi's chakra erupted, a scarlet aura licking his skin. "You don't touch my friends." The massacre. Naruto moved like a demon, his katana a blur. Bandits fell, limbs severed before they could scream. Kakashi precisely bisected Gato's mercenaries, lightning arcing from his hands. Sasuke, Sharingan blazing, carved through ranks with fire and steel. Gato fled, but Naruto cornered him at the bridge's edge. How much? Name your price. Naruto's blade flashed. This is for Kaiza. Gato's head toppled into the sea. The mist cleared, sunlight glinting on the bridge's fresh painted name. The Great Bridge of Hope. Haku knelt beside Zabuza's body, tears freezing on her cheeks. What do I do now? Naruto offered a hand. Live. Protect what you care about. As Haku stood, Naruto's gaze fell on Zabuza's massive blade, Kabikirabocho, embedded in the ground. The weapon's jagged edges gleamed in the sunlight, its history etched into every scratch and chip. That blade, Kakashi said, his tone cautious. It's one of KingHKS' 7 swords of the mist. Taking it would be seen as an act of war. Naruto walked over and pulled the blade free, its weight surprising him. Zabuza used this to hurt people. But maybe, it can be used to protect them now. Haku's eyes widened. Naruto-kun, you don't understand. That blade is a symbol of Kiri's power. They won't let it go easily. Naruto smirked. Then they'll have to come and talk to me about it. Maybe we can work something out. Kakashi sighed but didn't argue. Just don't go waving it around in front of Kiri Ninja. We've got enough problems as it is. Naruto slung the blade over his shoulder, its weight a reminder of the responsibility he now carried. Don't worry, Kakashi-sensei. I'll be careful. As Team 7 departed, Haku lingered at the village gates. Sakura elbowed Naruto. She's staring at you. Naruto grinned. You coming or not? Haku's lips curved, fragile but genuine. If you'll have me. Sasuke rolled his eyes. Great. Another stray. Kakashi chuckled, glancing at the massive blade on Naruto's back. Team 7 just got a lot more interesting. The gates of Konoha loomed ahead as Team 7 returned from their mission in the Land of Waves. Haku tiptoed beside Naruto, her presence drawing curious glances from villagers. Tsunade, now the 5th Hokage, awaited them in the Hokage's office, her arms crossed and expression stern. So, this is the girl you picked up, Tsunade said, her gaze piercing. A Kiri ninja with a history of working for Zabuza. You've got guts, brat. Naruto stepped forward, his voice steady. Haku's not like Zabuza. She's been manipulated her whole life. I want to give her a chance to start over. Tsunade sighed, leaning back in her chair. Fine, but she'll be under probation. Kakashi, you're responsible for her. And Naruto, she fixed him with a sharp look. If she steps out of line, it's on you. Haku bowed deeply. Thank you, Hokage-sama. I won't let you down. Over the next few weeks, Haku integrated into Team 7 as a combat medic. She trained under Sakura, her natural talent for chakra control making her a quick learner. In the hospital, she worked alongside Sakura, healing injured villagers with a gentle touch that earned her their gratitude. Outside medical training, she spent hours with Naruto, teaching him advanced chakra control techniques and helping him refine his wind and lightning release. Your chakra is wild, Naruto-kun, Haku said one evening as they practiced by the river. But if you focus it like this, she guided his hands, her touch cool and steady. You can create something beautiful. Naruto grinned, channeling his chakra into a gale palm that sent a gust of wind spiraling into the sky. Like that? Haku smiled. Exactly. Sakura watched from a distance, her initial jealousy fading as she saw how much Haku's guidance was helping Naruto. Even Sasuke, though he remained aloof, couldn't deny Haku's usefulness in combat. One morning, Hiruzen summoned Team 7 to the Hokage's office. We've received reports of a rogue ninja in the land of Tea, he said, his tone grave. Aoi Rokusho, a former Konoha ninja, has stolen the legendary blade of the Thunder God. Team 10 is already on the case, but they've requested backup. Naruto's eyes lit up. The blade of the Thunder God? That sounds like it'd go great with my lightning release. Kakashi sighed. Focus, Naruto. This isn't a shopping trip. Tsunade leaned forward, her expression serious. Aoi is dangerous. He's been terrorizing the land of Tea, and he won't hesitate to kill anyone who gets in his way. Your mission is to assist Team 10 in capturing him and recovering the blade. Understood? Understood, Team 7 chorused. The journey to the land of Tea was uneventful, giving the teams time to bond. Naruto and Haku shared a quiet moment under the stars one night, their conversation drifting to dreams and fears. "I used to think strength was everything," Haku admitted, her voice soft. "But you've shown me that it's not about power, it's about protecting what matters." Naruto nodded, his gaze fixed on the horizon. "Yeah, that's why I'll never give up." Ino, walking by with Shikamaru, couldn't resist teasing Naruto. "Looks like you've got a fan, Naruto," she smirked. Naruto flushed, but Haku simply smiled. "Naruto-kun is kind. That's rare in our world." When they arrived in the land of tea, the teams quickly tracked Aoi to a fortified hideout. The rogue ninja was waiting for them, the blade of the thunder god gleaming in his hand. "So, Konoha sends children to do its dirty work," Aoi sneered. "How pathetic." Shikamaru stepped forward, his shadow stretching across the ground. "We're not here to play games, Aoi. Surrender now, and we'll make this quick." Aoi laughed, raising the blade. "Let's see how you handle this." The battle began in earnest. Shikamaru used his shadow possession jutsu to immobilize Aoi's henchmen, while Choji and Ino handled the grunts. But Aoi was a formidable opponent, his lightning-based techniques forcing Team 10 to retreat. Naruto stepped forward, his tanto drawn. "My turn." He engaged Aoi in a fierce sword fight, their blades clashing in a shower of sparks. Haku supported from the sidelines, using her ice mirrors to create barriers and heal injured teammates. Aoi unleashed the full power of the blade of the thunder god, summoning a storm of lightning that devastated the battlefield. Naruto's six eyes activated, allowing him to predict Aoi's movements and counter his attacks. "You're fast," Aoi admitted, his voice strained. "But not fast enough." Naruto smirked, channeling lightning chakra into his tanto. "Let's see about that." With a well-timed lightning release, thunderclap flash, Naruto disarmed Aoi, shattering the blade of the thunder god's chakra resonance. Aoi attempted to flee, but Shikamaru's shadow techniques immobilized him. With Aoi defeated, Naruto claimed the blade of the thunder god as his primary weapon. He used Uzumaki sealing techniques to store Kabikirabocho in a scroll, keeping it as a strategic asset for future negotiations with KingHKS. Haku proved her worth as a combat medic, healing injured villagers and earning the trust of her teammates. She began to see Team 7 as her new family, vowing to protect them. As the teams prepared to return to Konoha, Naruto tested the blade of the thunder god, its lightning chakra harmonizing perfectly with his own. "You've shown me what it means to fight for something precious," Haku said, her voice soft. Naruto smiled. "We're a team now. That means we've got each other's backs." Kakashi observed the team's growth, noting how far they'd come since their first mission. Sasuke, though silent, acknowledged Naruto's strength and leadership. The Uchiha compound was quiet, except for the flames crackling as Sasuke practiced his fireball jutsu. His Sharingan spun with intensity, the fire reflecting in his crimson eyes. Makoto watched from the shadows, her expression a mix of pride and sorrow. "You've grown stronger, Sasuke," Makoto said, stepping into the light. "But your anger, it's consuming you." Sasuke's eyes narrowed. "Itachi took everything from us. How can you just let him go?" Makoto sighed, her voice steady but heavy with emotion. "Revenge won't bring our clan back. It will only destroy you. We've chosen to move forward, to rebuild. You should too." Sasuke clenched his fists, the flames around him flickering. "I can't. Not until I make him pay." Makoto placed a hand on his shoulder, her touch gentle but firm. "Then I hope you find peace, Sasuke. Before it's too late." Sasuke turned away, his Sharingan deactivating. Peace won't bring them back either. Far from Konoha, in the dense forests of the Land of Rivers, Itachi and Shisui moved like shadows. Under Jiraiya's direct command, their mission was to gather intelligence on rogue ninjas and emerging threats to the elemental nations. "The Land of Rivers is crawling with mercenaries," Shisui said, his voice low as they observed a camp of rogue ninjas from a treetop. "They're planning something big." Itachi's Sharingan glowed faintly as he analyzed the situation. "They're working for someone. This isn't just random banditry." Shisui smirked. "Looks like we'll have to dig deeper. Jiraiya-sama won't be happy if we come back empty-handed." Itachi nodded. "We'll infiltrate tonight. Stay sharp." As night fell, the two Uchiha moved like ghosts, their movements silent and precise. They extracted the information they needed, leaving the camp none the wiser. Another day, another secret, Shisui said as they disappeared into the night. For the sake of peace, Itachi replied, his voice barely a whisper. In the capital city of the Land of Fire, Minato and Kushina lived under the protection of the daimyo. The prophecy given at the birth of their triplets, Naruto, Menma, and Mito, had forced them into hiding. Jiraiya had warned them that the children's destinies were intertwined with the fate of the elemental nations, and until the time was right, they had to remain hidden. Do you think they're safe? Kushina asked, her voice tinged with worry as she watched Menma and Mito play in the courtyard. Minato placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. They're strong, just like their mother. And Naruto? He's out there, making a name for himself. Jiraiya-sensei is keeping an eye on him. Kushina sighed, her fiery spirit momentarily subdued. I just wish we could be together as a family. We will be, Minato said, his voice firm. When the time is right, we'll reunite. Until then, we have to trust in their strength. In a secluded training ground, Naruto stood with the Raijin no Ken, sword of the Thunder God, in hand. The blade gleamed under the sunlight as Yugo, his Kenjutsu mentor, observed him with a critical eye. The tempest-breathing sword style is about fluidity and precision, Yugo explained, her voice calm but commanding. It combines the grace of water, the speed of wind, and the power of lightning. Let's see how much you've improved. Naruto nodded, his 6 eyes glowing faintly as he focused. He moved through the forms he'd learned so far. First form. Rippling stream, a flowing, water-like technique that disoriented opponents with its unpredictable movements. Second form. Gale's Fury, a rapid, wind-enhanced strike that overwhelmed defenses with its sheer speed. Third form. Thunderclap Flash, a lightning-infused slash that shattered barriers with explosive force. Yugo nodded in approval. Not bad, but you're still too rigid. Let the blade move like an extension of your body. Feel the flow of your chakra and let it guide you. Naruto grinned, wiping sweat from his brow. Got it, sensei. I'll get it right next time. In another part of the village, Naruto trained with Tsunade, his fists slamming into a massive boulder with enough force to send cracked spider webbing across its surface. Not bad, brat, Tsunade said, crossing her arms. But you're still holding back. Put everything into it. Naruto channeled chakra into his fist, his muscles straining as he delivered a punch that shattered the boulder into pieces. The ground trembled from the impact, and dust filled the air. Tsunade smirked, clearly impressed. There you go. You're almost ready to handle my super strength. Keep at it, and you might just survive the Chunin exams. Anko and Haku had become unlikely friends, bonding over their shared love of unconventional tactics. They introduced Naruto to the art of poison and senbon throwing in a dense forest clearing. Poison isn't just about killing, Anko explained, twirling a senbon between her fingers. It's about control. A little venom can disable an opponent without ending their life. Haku demonstrated by throwing a senbon with pinpoint accuracy, hitting a target 50 meters away. Precision is key, she said softly. Aim for pressure points to maximize effectiveness. Naruto practiced diligently, his 6 eyes helping him analyze and perfect his technique. He threw senbon after senbon, each one landing closer to the bullseye. Not bad, kid, Anko said with a grin. But don't get cocky. In the exams, you'll be up against people who won't give you a second chance. Kakashi gathered Team 7 for a teamwork exercise in a forest clearing. The Chunin exams are coming up, he said, his tone serious. You'll need to work together if you want to survive. He paired Sakura with Haku, teaching them advanced genjutsu and medical techniques. Sakura, your chakra control is excellent. Focus on healing and support. Haku, your ice mirrors can be used defensively and offensively. Combine your skills to protect your team. Meanwhile, Sasuke and Naruto sparred, their rivalry pushing them to new heights. Sasuke's Sharingan allowed him to predict Naruto's movements, but Naruto's 6 eyes gave him unparalleled perception, allowing him to counter Sasuke's attacks. Remember, Kakashi said, watching them closely. A team is only as strong as its weakest link. Support each other, and you'll go far. In the Hokage's office, Kakashi and the other Jonin gathered to discuss the upcoming Chunin exams. I recommend Team 7, Kakashi said, leaning against the wall. They've grown stronger and more cohesive. They're ready. Asuma nodded, exhaling a puff of smoke. Team 10 is ready as well. Shikamaru's tactics, Choji's strength, and Ino's sensory skills make them a formidable team. Kurenai added, Team 8 has also shown great potential. Kiba's tracking, Hinata's Byakugan, and Shino's insects give them a unique edge. Hiruzen smiled, his eyes crinkling with pride. Very well. The rookie genin will participate in the Chunin exams. Let's see how far they've come. Iruka gathered the rookie genin in the academy, his expression serious. The Chunin exams are not to be taken lightly. I need to see if you're truly ready. He put them through a series of tests, evaluating their combat skills, teamwork, and problem-solving abilities. Team 7's test. Iruka set up a simulated mission where Team 7 had to retrieve a scroll from a guarded tower. Naruto used his kenjutsu to create a diversion, Sasuke's Sharingan helped them navigate traps, and Sakura's medical skills ensured they stayed in top condition. Haku's ice mirrors provided cover, allowing them to complete the mission seamlessly. Team 10's test. Iruka challenged Team 10 to solve a complex puzzle while under time pressure. Shikamaru's quick thinking and strategic mind led the team, while Choji's strength and Ino's sensory skills helped them overcome physical obstacles. Team 8's test. Iruka tasked Team 8 with tracking a hidden target in a dense forest. Kiba's nose, Hinata's Byakugan, and Shino's insects worked in perfect harmony, allowing them to locate the target with ease. Iruka nodded in approval. You've all come a long way. But remember, the Chunin exams will test you like never before. Kakashi gathered Team 7 in their usual training ground. I have some news, he said, his tone casual but his eyes serious. You've been recommended for the Chunin exams. Naruto's eyes lit up. Finally, I'm gonna show everyone what I'm made of. Sasuke smirked. Don't get in my way, dead last. Sakura clenched her fists, determination shining in her eyes. We'll make you proud, Kakashi-sensei. Kakashi nodded. Good. The exams start in 2 weeks. Train hard, and don't let your guard down. The streets of Konoha buzzed with energy as shinobi from various villages gathered for the Chunin exams. The marketplace was livelier than usual, with merchants taking advantage of the influx of visitors. Bright banners and symbols of different villages adorned the stalls, adding a colorful yet tense atmosphere to the village. Shinobi from various nations mingled, some exchanging pleasantries while others sized up their competition. Naruto walked at the front of Team 7, his bright grin stretching from ear to ear. This is it, our chance to show the world what we've got, he said excitedly, pumping his fist into the air. Sasuke scoffed. Don't embarrass yourself. This isn't a playground. TCH, like you could ever outshine me, bastard. Naruto shot back, his eyes gleaming with competitive fire. Haku chuckled softly, walking beside them. Let's focus on the exams first. Getting too excited might lead to mistakes. Sakura sighed. She's right, let's not get ahead of ourselves. As they continued walking, they passed by several shinobi groups. Naruto's sharp eyes caught sight of a trio from Kumogakure, their dark uniforms and headbands giving them an imposing presence. One of them, a tall boy with short spiky hair, smirked upon noticing Naruto staring. Konoha's little golden boy, huh? Hope you last longer than the others, the Kumo nin sneered before walking past. Naruto scowled but didn't rise to the bait. TCH, just wait and see. The four made their way to the academy, where the first phase of the exams would take place. Upon entering the hall, they were met with a sea of genin from different villages, eyeing each other cautiously. The tension was thick, unspoken rivalries forming with every passing glance. A loud voice interrupted the tense atmosphere. Oi, Naruto. Didn't think you'd actually make it here. Kiba called out, smirking with Akamaru perched on his head. Naruto grinned. Kiba, you're looking at the future Chunin of Konoha. Hope you're ready to lose. We'll see about that. Kiba shot back, his excitement mirroring Naruto's. Elsewhere in the room, Ino waved at Naruto with a playful smile. Don't go losing too early, Naruto. I might need you to take care of some weaklings before I make my move. Naruto smirked. You wish, Ino. I'll be making it to the finals for sure. Sasuke's eyes narrowed as he observed the room. He spotted Neji Hyuga standing with his arms crossed, his pale eyes scanning the crowd with an air of superiority. A silent challenge passed between the Uchiha and the Hyuga before they both looked away. As Team 7 settled in, an eerie silence filled the room. The air grew heavy as three figures entered, soon his team led by none other than Gaara. His piercing teal eyes bore into the crowd, his gorge shifting slightly on his back. The mere presence of the red-haired shinobi sent a chill down Naruto's spine. Their eyes met, and for a moment, there was an odd sense of familiarity, like looking at someone who had walked a similar path. Naruto noticed the dark circles under Gaara's eyes, the lifeless look that reminded him of nights spent alone in the orphanage. That guy. He's dangerous, Haku whispered, standing slightly closer to Naruto. Before anyone could react further, a sudden wave of killing intent flooded the room. Gasps echoed as a foreign genin, who had attempted to size up Gaara, now lay frozen in fear, sand coiling around his ankle. Weak, Gaara muttered, and with a flick of his wrist, the sand retreated, leaving the unfortunate genin to collapse onto the ground in terror. Naruto clenched his fists. I don't know what your deal is, but you're not scaring me. Gaara turned his gaze to Naruto, an unreadable expression on his face. We'll see. Temari and Kankuro stood beside Gaara, both watching the room cautiously. Kankuro smirked. Hey, looks like we've got some tough ones this year. Let's see if any of them survive the forest of death. Before tensions could escalate, a loud voice called for attention. Alright, listen up. Ibiki Morino's stern voice echoed through the hall, silencing all conversations. The first phase of the Chunin exams begins now. Murmurs spread through the room as everyone turned their attention to the scar-faced man standing at the front. His cold, calculating gaze sent shivers down several genin's spines. Take your seats, Ibiki ordered. Your first challenge starts now. Naruto exchanged glances with his teammates as they took their seats. He clenched his fists under the desk, knowing this was only the beginning. The streets of Konoha buzzed with energy as shinobi from various villages gathered for the Chunin exams. The marketplace was livelier than usual, with merchants taking advantage of the influx of visitors. Bright banners and symbols of different villages adorned the stalls, adding a colorful yet tense atmosphere to the town. Shinobi from various nations mingled, some exchanging pleasantries while others sized up their competition. Naruto walked at the front of Team 7, his bright grin stretching from ear to ear. This is it, our chance to show the world what we've got, he said excitedly, pumping his fist into the air. Sasuke scoffed. Don't embarrass yourself. This isn't a playground. TCH, like you could ever outshine me, bastard. Naruto shot back, his eyes gleaming with competitive fire. Haku chuckled softly, walking beside them. Let's focus on the exams first. Getting too excited might lead to mistakes, Sakura sighed. She's right, let's not get ahead of ourselves. As they continued walking, they passed by several shinobi groups. Naruto's sharp eyes caught sight of a trio from Kumogakure, their dark uniforms, and headbands giving them an imposing presence. One of them, a tall boy with short spiky hair, smirked upon noticing Naruto staring. Konoha's little golden boy, huh? Hope you last longer than the others, the Kumo nin sneered before walking past. Naruto scowled but didn't rise to the bait. TCH, just wait and see. The four made their way to the academy, where the first phase of the exams would take place. Upon entering the hall, they were met with a sea of genin from different villages, eyeing each other cautiously. The tension was thick, unspoken rivalries forming with every passing glance. A loud voice interrupted the tense atmosphere. Oi, Naruto, didn't think you'd make it here. Kiba called out, smirking with Akamaru perched on his head. Naruto grinned. Kiba, you're looking at the future Chunin of Konoha. Hope you're ready to lose, we'll see about that. Kiba shot back, his excitement mirroring Naruto's. Elsewhere in the room, Ino waved at Naruto with a playful smile. Don't go losing too early, Naruto. I might need you to take care of some weaklings before I move. Naruto smirked. You wish, Ino. I'll be making it to the finals for sure. Sasuke's eyes narrowed as he observed the room. He spotted Neji Hyuga standing with his arms crossed, his pale eyes scanning the crowd with an air of superiority. A silent challenge passed between the Uchiha and the Hyuga before they both looked away. As Team 7 settled in, an eerie silence filled the room. The air grew heavy as three figures entered, soon his team led by none other than Gaara. His piercing teal eyes bore into the crowd, his gorge shifting slightly on his back. The mere presence of the red-haired shinobi sent a chill down Naruto's spine. Their eyes met, and for a moment, There was an odd sense of familiarity, like looking at someone who had walked a similar path. Naruto noticed the dark circles under Gaara's eyes, the lifeless look that reminded him of nights spent alone in the orphanage. That guy. He's dangerous, Haku whispered, standing slightly closer to Naruto. Before anyone could react further, a sudden wave of killing intent flooded the room. Gasps echoed as a foreign genin, who had attempted to size up Gaara, now lay frozen in fear as sand was coiling around his ankle. Weak, Gaara muttered, and with a flick of his wrist, the sand retreated, leaving the unfortunate genin to collapse onto the ground in terror. Naruto clenched his fists. I don't know what your deal is, but you're not scaring me. Gaara turned his gaze to Naruto, an unreadable expression on his face. We'll see. Temari and Kankuro stood beside Gaara, both watching the room cautiously. Kankuro smirked. Hey, looks like we've got some tough ones this year. Let's see if any of them survive the Forest of Death. Before tensions could escalate, a loud voice called for attention. All right, listen up. Ibiki Morino's stern voice echoed through the hall, silencing all conversations. The first phase of the Chunin exams begins now. Murmurs spread through the room as everyone turned their attention to the scar-faced man standing at the front. His cold, calculating gaze sent shivers down several genin's spines. Take your seats, Ibiki ordered. Your first challenge starts now. Naruto sat down at his desk, his heart pounding as he stared at the test paper in front of him. The questions were impossibly difficult, filled with advanced chakra theory and tactical scenarios he had never encountered before. He glanced around the room, noticing the tense expressions on his peers' faces. This is bad. I can't answer any of these, Naruto thought, his palms sweating. But then he remembered Makoto's training. Wait, I don't need to answer them myself. I just need to get the answers without getting caught. His 6 eyes activated, glowing faintly as he scanned the room. He noticed subtle movements, genin using mirrors, ink, and even insects to cheat. The proctors were watching closely, but Naruto's enhanced perception allowed him to spot their blind spots. Naruto focused on a proctor standing nearby. With a subtle hand seal, he cast a genjutsu, making the proctor momentarily look away. In that brief window, Naruto copied answers from a nearby team, his 6 eyes allowing him to memorize the information quickly. This is it. Makoto's training is paying off, Naruto thought, grinning to himself. Sasuke's Sharingan spun quietly as he observed the room. He copied the movements of other genin, gathering answers without being noticed. His eyes briefly locked with Gaara's and he felt a chill run down his spine. That guy, he's not just strong. He's dangerous. Haku sat calmly, her hands resting on the desk. With a subtle flick of her fingers, she created tiny ice mirrors that reflected answers from nearby teams. Her technique was seamless, blending into the environment so well that even the proctors didn't notice. Sakura answered the questions herself, her sharp mind allowing her to solve even the most difficult problems. She noticed the psychological pressure of the test and leaned over to whisper to Naruto, "Stay calm. You've got this." As time ran out, Ibiki stood at the front of the room, his expression grim. Now, for the 10th question. This one is special. If you choose to answer it and get it wrong, you will be permanently barred from taking the Chunin exams. If you choose not to answer, you can leave but will fail the exam. The room erupted in murmurs as genin debated whether to take the risk. Naruto clenched his fists, his determination burning brightly. He stood up, his voice ringing out. I'll answer it. I'm not backing down. His declaration inspired others to stay, and Ibiki smirked. Congratulations. The 10th question was a test of courage. All of you pass. As the genin celebrated, Naruto locked eyes with Gaara once more. The red-haired shinobi's expression was unreadable, but Naruto felt a spark of resolve. I'll prove myself to everyone. Even him. Ibiki's voice cut through the chatter. The next phase is the Forest of Death. Be prepared. Not all of you will make it out alive. The genin gathered at the edge of the Forest of Death, the towering trees casting long shadows over the group. Anko Mitarashi stood before them, her wild grin and sharp eyes immediately capturing their attention. Her presence was both intimidating and electrifying, a perfect match for the ominous forest behind her. All right, brats, Anko called out, her voice carrying a dangerous edge. I'm Anko Mitarashi, your proctor for the second phase of the Chunin exams. Ibiki left more of you alive than usual, so consider yourselves lucky. But don't get too comfortable, this is where the fun begins. She held up 2 scrolls, one marked heaven and the other earth. Your objective is simple. You need to collect both scrolls and make it to the tower in the forest center within 5 days. But be warned, this forest is called the Forest of Death for a reason. If you're not careful, you won't make it out alive. Naruto exchanged glances with his teammates, his excitement tempered by the seriousness of Anko's words. He could feel the weight of the challenge ahead, but his determination burned brighter than ever. Sign these consent forms, Anko continued, tossing a stack of papers into the crowd. If you die, it's on you. No one's coming to save you. As the genin signed the forms, Anko's gaze lingered on a few teams, her smirk widening. Oh, and one more thing. If you open your scrolls before reaching the tower, you'll regret it. Trust me. Team 7 moved cautiously through the dense forest, their senses on high alert. The air was thick with the sounds of rustling leaves and distant animal calls, but the real danger lay in the other teams lurking in the shadows. Stay close, Sasuke said, his Sharingan activated as he scanned their surroundings. We don't know who or what's out here. Naruto grinned, his 6 eyes glowing faintly. Relax, Sasuke. We've got this. Haku walked silently beside them, her calm demeanor a stark contrast to the tension in the air. We should focus on finding a team with the opposite scroll. Engaging in unnecessary battles will only waste our energy. Sakura nodded, her medical pouch ready. Agreed. Let's avoid conflict if we can. Their first encounter came sooner than expected. A team from the Land of Rain ambushed them, launching a barrage of kunai and shuriken. Team 7 reacted quickly, with Haku using her ice mirrors to deflect the attacks and Sakura providing support with precise medical ninjutsu. Naruto and Sasuke took the offensive, their teamwork was overwhelming the Rain Genin. Naruto's Tempest Gale breathing sword style allowed him to move with incredible speed, his tanto slicing through the air like a storm. Sasuke's Sharingan predicted the enemy's movements, allowing him to counter with precision. After a brief skirmish, Team 7 emerged victorious, securing an Earth Scroll. TCH, we already have an Earth Scroll, Sasuke muttered, examining their prize. Guess we'll have to find another team with a Heaven Scroll, Naruto said, his grin returning. As they continued through the forest, Naruto's 6 eyes picked up a faint chakra signature nearby. Without warning, he dashed off, leaving his team behind. Naruto, wait, Sakura called out, but he was already gone. Naruto followed the chakra signature, his instincts guiding him. He arrived just in time to see a massive bear towering over a red-haired girl, its claws raised for a killing strike. The girl, Karen, closed her eyes, bracing for the end as memories of her mother flashed through her mind. Not on my watch, Naruto shouted, drawing his tanto and leaping into action. With a swift strike, he decapitated the bear, its body collapsing to the ground. Karen opened her eyes, stunned. Who are you? Naruto Uzumaki, he said, offering her a hand. And you're safe now. Karen hesitated before taking his hand. Thank you. I thought I was going to die. As they walked back to Team 7, Karen opened up about her past. I'm from Kusagakure, but they treated me like a tool. My chakra chains were all they cared about. Naruto's expression softened. You're not a tool. You're family now. Consider me your brother. Karen's eyes widened, a flicker of hope shining through her pain. Family. As Naruto and Karen rejoined Team 7, a sudden hiss echoed through the forest. A massive snake emerged from the shadows, its eyes gleaming with malice. Stay back, Naruto ordered, gripping his tanto. The snake lunged, but Naruto was ready. Using his Tempest Gale breathing sword style, he unleashed a flurry of strikes, each one precise and deadly. Karen activated her chakra chains, immobilizing the snake and giving Naruto the opening he needed to deliver the finishing blow. That was too close, Sakura said, her voice trembling. Naruto's expression was grim. Only 2 people can summon snakes, Anko and Orochimaru. And Anko's not in the forest right now. The team exchanged uneasy glances. If Orochimaru was here, they were in serious trouble. Before they could regroup, a wave of killing intent washed over them, freezing them in place. Orochimaru emerged from the shadows, his golden eyes gleaming with amusement. Well, he said, his voice dripping with malice. What do we have here? The Uchiha heir, a medic nin, a kunoichi with ice mirrors, and Naruto Uzumaki. How delightful. Haku, who had been scouting ahead, returned just in time to see Orochimaru. She launched an attack, but Orochimaru countered with a powerful great breakthrough, sending her flying into the trees. Haku! Sakura cried, rushing to her side. Orochimaru turned his attention to Sasuke, his grin widening. Such potential. I can't wait to see what you're capable of. Naruto stepped forward, his tanto glowing with chakra. You're not laying a finger on my team. Orochimaru chuckled. Bold words, boy. Let's see if you can back them up. Orochimaru's golden eyes gleamed with amusement as he surveyed Team 7. His presence alone was suffocating, his killing intent pressing down on them like a physical weight. Such potential, Orochimaru said, his voice dripping with malice. Sasuke Uchiha, heir to the Uchiha clan's legacy. And Naruto Uzumaki, the boy with the 6 eyes. Join me, and I will give you power beyond your wildest dreams. Naruto stepped forward, his 6 eyes glowing brightly. Not a chance, Snakeface. We're not interested in your twisted games. Sasuke clenched his fists, his Sharingan spinning. You think we'd join someone like you? You're delusional. Orochimaru chuckled, his grin widening. Such defiance. Very well, let's see if you can back it up. Naruto didn't wait for Orochimaru to make the first move. He dashed forward, his tanto gleaming as he unleashed the Tempest Gale breathing sword style. His strikes were a blur of motion, each one precise and deadly. Orochimaru dodged effortlessly, his movements fluid and unnatural. Impressive, but you'll need more than that to touch me. Karin and Haku joined the fray, their attacks complementing Naruto's. Karin's chakra chains shot forward, attempting to bind Orochimaru, while Haku launched a barrage of ice projectiles. Orochimaru smirked, easily deflecting their attacks. Cute, but you'll have to do better. Frustrated by his initial hesitation, Sasuke activated his Sharingan and joined the fight. His movements were sharp and precise, but Orochimaru countered with ease, his experience as a war veteran evident in every move. Sakura provided support from the sidelines, throwing kunai and shuriken to disrupt Orochimaru's rhythm. We need a plan, she shouted. Naruto realized they were making no progress with a frontal assault. Fall back, he ordered, forming hand seals. Hidden mist jutsu. A thick mist enveloped the area, obscuring Orochimaru's vision. Naruto created several shadow clones, which charged at Orochimaru to distract him. Now's our chance, Naruto whispered to his team. We need to retreat. Haku and Karin nodded, understanding the plan, but Sasuke hesitated. We can't just run, we need to finish this. Naruto grabbed Sasuke's arm. This isn't running, it's surviving. We're not ready to take him on yet. Reluctantly, Sasuke agreed, and the team began their retreat. As Team 7 fled, they were suddenly ambushed by a group of rogue shinobi, clearly sent by Orochimaru. The attackers were skilled and ruthless, their movements coordinated and precise. Stay close, Naruto shouted, his 6 eyes scanning the area for weaknesses. The team fought back, but the sheer number of enemies was overwhelming. Just as it seemed they might be overrun, reinforcements arrived in the form of other Konoha teams. Need a hand? Shikamaru called out, his shadow possession technique immobilizing several enemies. About time, Naruto replied, grinning despite the situation. Neji and Lee joined the fight, their taijutsu and byakugan proving invaluable. Tenten provided ranged support, her weapon scroll unleashing a barrage of kunai and shuriken. Together, the Konoha genin turned the tide of the battle. Naruto's Tempest Gale breathing sword style cut through the enemy ranks, while Haku's ice mirrors and Karin's chakra chains provided crucial support. As the battle raged, Orochimaru's voice echoed through the forest. You can't escape me, Sasuke. In a flash, Orochimaru appeared behind Sasuke, his hand glowing with dark chakra. Before anyone could react, he placed the curse mark on Sasuke's neck. Sasuke screamed in pain, collapsing to the ground as the mark spread across his skin. Sasuke, Naruto shouted, rushing to his side. Orochimaru chuckled. Consider this a gift. You'll come to me eventually, Sasuke. With that, Orochimaru disappeared into the mist, leaving Team 7 shaken but alive. As Orochimaru retreated, he encountered Anko and an Anbu unit. Well, Orochimaru said, his grin widening. If it isn't my old student. Anko's eyes narrowed. Orochimaru, you're not getting away this time. The Anbu unit attacked, but Orochimaru dispatched them with ease, his movements too fast to follow. He turned to Anko, his expression cold. Consider this a reminder of your failure, he said, activating the curse mark on Anko's neck. Anko collapsed, her body racked with pain as Orochimaru disappeared into the forest. Team 7 regrouped at a safe distance, their exhaustion evident. Sasuke was unconscious, the curse mark pulsing ominously on his neck. We need to get him to the tower, Sakura said, her voice trembling. Naruto nodded, his expression grim. But first, we need to deal with this. Using his knowledge of sealing techniques, Naruto placed a custom double-layered evil sealing method on Sasuke's curse mark. The seal was powered by both Sasuke's will and Naruto's, and it was designed to suppress the mark's influence. This should hold for now, Naruto said. But we need to get him to Kakashi-sensei as soon as possible. After exchanging their Earth Scroll for a Heaven Scroll with Shikamaru's team, Team 7 finally reached the tower. They released the scrolls, revealing the message. When the Heaven and Earth Scrolls are opened, the true purpose of the Chunin exams is revealed. Their respective sensei greeted them, and Kakashi immediately noticed Sasuke's condition. What happened? Kakashi asked, his tone serious. Naruto explained their encounter with Orochimaru, leaving out no details. Kakashi's expression darkened. We need to report this to the Hokage immediately, he said. Tsunade listened intently as Naruto and Kakashi reported the incident. Her expression was grim. Orochimaru's presence changes everything, she said. We need to increase patrols and tighten security around the village. Naruto hesitated before speaking. There's something else. Kabuto. I think he might be a spy for Orochimaru. Tsunade's eyes narrowed. I'll look into it. For now, focus on the exams. We'll deal with Orochimaru when the time comes. The tower's grand hall hummed with nervous energy as the surviving genin stood in ragged clusters. Sunlight filtered through high windows, casting long shadows over the stone floor. The third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, stepped forward, his aged voice cutting through the murmurs. This final test will determine who proceeds to the last stage of the Chunin exams, he declared, leaning heavily on his staff. The rules are simple. One-on-one battles with no restrictions. Victory is achieved by surrender, incapacitation, or death. A ripple of unease passed through the crowd. Naruto's eyes darted to Sasuke, who stood rigidly, his fingers twitching toward the cursed seal hidden under his collar. Beside him, Haku's calm demeanor contrasted sharply with Sakura's nervous fidgeting. Across the room, Gaara's hollow stare locked onto Naruto, the unspoken challenge as sharp as a blade. The matchups flashed on the screen. 1. Naruto Uzumaki vs Kiba Inuzuka. 2. Sasuke Uchiha vs Yoroi Kado. 3. Hinata Hyuga vs Neji Hyuga. 4. Shikamaru Nara vs Kin Tsuchi. 5. Tenten vs Tamari. 6. Rock Lee vs Gaara. 7. Dosu Kinuta vs Choji Akamichi. 8. Haku vs Zaku Abumi. Naruto's fists clenched at the sight of Hinata's name paired with Neji's. That arrogant jerk. If he hurts her, I'll make him regret it. The arena buzzed as Naruto and Kiba stepped onto the sunlit floor. Kiba smirked, Akamaru growling low on his shoulder. Ready to lose, dead last? This isn't the academy anymore. Naruto grinned, rolling his shoulders. You're the one barking up the wrong tree, Kiba. Let's see if you've grown since our last spar. The battle. Kiba struck first, his beast mimicry transforming his movements into feral lunges. Akamaru darted around Naruto's legs, nipping at his ankles. Naruto's 6 eyes flickered to life, the world slowing as he tracked every twitch of muscle, every shift of chakra. Fang over fang, Kiba and Akamaru spiraled toward him in a whirlwind of claws and fur. Naruto's tanto gleamed as he channeled Tempest Gale breathing, second form, Gale's Fury. The blade sliced through the air in a crescent arc, dispersing the attack. Kiba skidded back, panting. Not bad, but try this. Akamaru transformed into a perfect replica of Kiba, and the twins launched a synchronized assault. Naruto weaved between them, his sword deflecting strikes with precision. You're predictable, Kiba, Naruto taunted, feigning a stumble. Kiba fell for the bait, lunging, only for Naruto to pivot and slam the hilt of his sword into Kiba's spine. Kiba crumpled, Akamaru whimpering beside him. Had enough? Naruto offered a hand, his grin softening. Kiba groaned, swatting it away. TCH, you got lucky. Winner. Naruto Uzumaki. Hinata trembled as she faced Neji, her cousin's Byakugan already active, veins bulging around his pale eyes. The crowd fell silent, sensing the weight of the Hyuga clan's legacy hanging between them. You don't belong here, Hinata-sama, Neji sneered, his voice dripping with disdain. Surrender now and spare yourself the humiliation. Hinata's fists shook, but she assumed the gentle fist stance. No. IW will fight. The battle. Neji struck first, his palms a blur as he targeted her chakra points. Hinata staggered, her breath hitching as her left arm went numb. Pathetic, Neji spat. You cling to a title you don't deserve. Hinata's vision blurred, but Naruto's voice cut through the haze. Don't give up, Hinata. You're stronger than he thinks. Her eyes hardened. I won't run. With a cry, she lunged, her chakra surging. Neji blocked her strikes effortlessly, but Hinata twisted midair, her palm grazing his shoulder. A single chakra point is sealed. Neji froze, stunned. You. Hinata collapsed, blood trickling from her lip. Neji stared down at her, his composure cracked. A pointless effort. Naruto vaulted over the railing, his 6 eyes blazing. You call that a fight? She's 10 times the shinobi you'll ever be. Proctors restrained him as Neji smirked. Sentimental fool. Winner. Neji Hyuga. Shikamaru trudged into the arena, hands in his pockets. What a drag. Kin Suchi twirled her bell, her smirk sharp. This'll be over quick, lazy boy. The battle. Kin unleashed demonic illusion. Bell ringing, the dissonant chimes warping Shikamaru's senses. He yawned, weaving through her sound waves with sluggish grace. Predictable, he muttered, his shadow stretching across the floor like ink. Kin dodged, but Shikamaru's shadow split, ensnaring her ankles. Shadow possession jutsu. Complete. Kin froze, forced to mimic Shikamaru's bored shrug. Checkmate. Winner. Shikamaru Nara. Tenten twirled her staff, her grin fierce. Let's see how your wind handles this. Tamari unfurled her iron fan, her smirk icy. You're outclassed, Konoha girl. The battle. Tenten unleashed a barrage of kunai, but Tamari's wind scythe jutsu scattered them like leaves. Is that all? Tamari mocked. Tenten's eyes narrowed. She unsealed a massive scroll. Twin rising dragons. Weapons rained down, spears, swords, chains, but Tamari countered with cyclone dance, shredding the arsenal. A lone kunai grazed Tamari's cheek, drawing blood. Tenten collapsed, her chakra spent. Next time, I'll win. Tamari wiped her face, grudging respect in her eyes. Not bad. Winner. Tamari. Lee dropped his weights, the resulting crater shaking the arena. I will prove that hard work beats genius. Gaara's sand hissed, swirling around him like a living thing. You will die. The battle. Lee's speed was blinding. He danced around Gaara's sand, landing punches that cracked the gourd's surface. Primary Lotus. Lee slammed Gaara into the ground, the impact cratering the floor. But the sand cocoon held. Gaara emerged unscathed, his eyes manic. You hurt me. A tidal wave of sand crushed Lee's arm and leg, the sickening cracks echoing through the silent arena. Guy leapt to his side, tears streaming. You've already won, Lee. Winner. Gaara. Choji cracked his knuckles. You're going down, weirdo. Dosu adjusted his armguard. Fool. The battle. Choji transformed into a human boulder, rolling toward Dosu with crushing force. Dosu's armguard vibrated, unleashing decapitating airwaves that sent Choji crashing into the wall. Pathetic, Dosu sneered as Choji struggled to rise. Winner. Dosu Kinuda. ###8. Haku vs Zaku, Ice and Fury. Zaku spat blood, his arm cannons humming. I'll blow you to pieces, Ice Girl. Haku's senbon glinted. You'll regret those words. Zaku fired ultimate airwaves, the concussive blasts tearing up the arena. Haku's ice mirrors materialized, reflecting the attack. Senbon rained down, pinning Zaku's sleeves to the ground. Yield, Haku said softly. Zaku snarled, firing a desperate blast. Haku flickered behind him, a senbon pressed to his throat. I said, yield. Winner. Haku. Naruto stormed toward Neji, but Kakashi's hand clamped on his shoulder. Not here, Naruto. Sasuke's cursed seal pulsed as he watched Gaara leave, the redhead's sand trailing blood. That monster. Haku knelt beside Lee, her hands glowing with medical chakra. You were incredible, she murmured. Lee smiled weakly. Thank you, Haku-san. Naruto crouched next to Hinata, his voice gentle. You're amazing, Hinata. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Hinata blushed, her voice barely a whisper. Thank you, Naruto-kun. The Hokage announced the finalists. 1. Naruto Uzumaki. 2. Sasuke Uchiha. 3. Neji Hyuga. 4. Shikamaru Nara. 5. Temari. 6. Gaara. 7. Dosu Kinuta. 8. Haku. As the crowd dispersed, Kabuto lingered in the shadows, his glasses glinting. Soon, Orochimaru-sama, soon. Naruto stood at the tower's edge, staring into the forest where shadows writhed like serpents. No matter what comes, I'll protect them. Dawn at Training Ground 3. The first rays of sunlight pierced through the mist as Naruto stood opposite Hiruzen Sarutobi, the retired Hokage. The old man's pipe smoldered faintly as he adjusted his battle-worn armor, a rare sight since retirement. You've mastered the basics of the 6 eyes, Hiruzen said, his voice gravelly but warm. Now, we refine them. The Uzumaki clan's sealing arts are unparalleled, and your chakra control is exceptional. Today, you'll learn to bind them into something greater. Naruto nodded, his tanto strapped to his back. Over the past week, Hiruzen had drilled him in advanced chakra control, pushing him to merge his sensory prowess with the Tempest Gale breathing sword style. Begin. Hiruzen barked. Naruto's blade sang as he carved intricate seals into the air, his chakra crackling precisely. Hiruzen countered with earth-style walls, forcing Naruto to adapt. By midday, the training ground was scarred with craters and scorch marks, but Naruto's grin was unshakable. Not bad, brat, Hiruzen chuckled. But you're still leaving your left flank open. That afternoon, Naruto found himself in the Uchiha compound, seated across from Makoto Uchiha. Her Sharingan spun lazily as she sipped tea. Genjutsu isn't just about deception, she said. It's about control. Your 6 eyes perceive chakra flows. Use that to manipulate your opponent's senses. She cast a subtle genjutsu, warping the room into a labyrinth of mirrors. Naruto's eyes glowed as he dissected the illusion, pinpointing Makoto's true location. Good, Makoto nodded. Now, counterattack. Naruto wove hand signs, layering his genjutsu over hers. The mirrors shattered, revealing Makoto's approving smile. You've inherited Kushina's stubbornness and her talent. At dusk, Yugo Izuki awaited Naruto in a moonlit clearing, her lavender hair tied back. The Tempest Gale breathing style is incomplete, she said, unsheathing her kodachi. But you've laid the foundation. Today, you'll learn the 4th form, Thunderous Cascade. Their blades clashed, sparks flying as Naruto mimicked her fluid movements. Yugo's strikes were precise, each one a lesson in economy of motion. Faster, she commanded. Your sword is an extension of your will. Become the storm. Naruto's chakras surged, his blade humming with energy as he executed the new form. The clearing trembled, trees splintering under the force. Yugo stepped back, her blade notched but her smile intact. You're ready. That night, Naruto confronted Jiraiya at Ichiraku's. The Sannin stumbled in reeking of sake, his usual grin faltering under Naruto's glare. Where the hell have you been? Naruto snapped. You're supposed to be my godfather, not some drunk tourist. Jiraiya's face hardened. I've got responsibilities bigger than you, kid. The world doesn't revolve around your training, responsibilities? Naruto slammed his fist on the counter. You left me alone in the orphanage. You didn't even show up when I almost died in the forest of death. Jiraiya flinched, guilt flashing in his eyes. I'm sorry, Naruto. Save it, Naruto spat, storming out. I don't need your apologies. I've got people who actually care. Later, Naruto sat by the Hokage monument, staring at the stars. Jiraiya approached cautiously, a scroll in hand. Naruto. I know I haven't been there for you. But this is something that could change everything. He unfurled the scroll, revealing the Toad summoning contract. Naruto's eyes narrowed. The toads of Mount Myoboku are powerful allies, Jiraiya said. With their help, you could. No, Naruto interrupted, his voice cold. I don't want anything to do with them. Jiraiya blinked. What? Why? Because of him, Naruto said, his fists clenched. The great toad sage, Gamamaru. He's the one who gave my parents that damn prophecy, isn't he? The one that made them abandon me. Jiraiya's face paled. Naruto, it's not that simple, isn't it? Naruto stood, his eyes blazing. He saw some destiny and decided my life was worth sacrificing. Well, I don't care about his prophecies. I'll make my path. Jiraiya watched him go, the weight of his failures crushing him. In the Hokage's office, Tsunade pored over maps of Konoha, Shizune at her side. Anko and Kakashi stood at attention, their reports detailing Orochimaru's movements. Double the patrols along the eastern wall, Tsunade ordered. And I want every Genin squad paired with a Jonin until the finals. Shizune frowned. The council will argue it's overkill. Let them, Tsunade growled. I'm not losing this village to that snake bastard. Outside, teams drilled in the streets. Tenten and Lee practiced countering sound-based attacks, while Kiba and Akamaru scouted the perimeter. The air hummed with tension, a storm was coming. Deep beneath Konoha, Danzo Shimura met Orochimaru in a rude safehouse. The flickering torchlight cast grotesque shadows on the walls. Ensure your dogs stay out of my way, Orochimaru hissed, and I'll leave your precious village standing. For now. Danzo's eye narrowed. And in return? The Uchiha brat? His eyes. And the Kyuubi, Danzo nodded. Acceptable. The deal was sealed with a handshake, both men smirking. Neither noticed Kabuto lurking in the vents, his glasses glinting. At Training Ground 7, Sasuke's hands crackled with blue lightning. Kakashi watched sternly as his pupil drilled the Chidori, the technique's screech echoing like a cry for vengeance. Focus, Kakashi warned. The curse mark feeds on your anger. Control it, or it'll consume you. Sasuke's Sharingan blazed. I don't care. I need this power to kill him. The Chidori tore through a boulder, leaving molten scars in its wake. Kakashi sighed. You're walking the same path I did, Sasuke. In the Nara forest, Shikamaru sparred with Asuma and his father, Shikaku. Shadows coiled around Shikamaru like serpents as he countered their combined assault. You're thinking too linearly, Shikaku chided. Use the environment. Shikamaru grinned, luring them into a trap of pre-placed explosive tags. The blast shook the trees, earning a rare nod from Shikaku. Not bad, for a lazy brat. Naruto's training ended late. As he cut through the market district, he spotted Hayate Gecko slumped against a wall, coughing blood. Baki of the Sand loomed over him, a kunai glinting. You shouldn't have eavesdropped, traitor, Baki sneered. Naruto moved on instinct. His tanto intercepted Baki's strike, the clash echoing through the alley. Run, Hayate. Naruto barked. The ensuing duel was brutal. Baki's wind blades sliced through stalls, but Naruto's tempest gale breathing countered with hurricane force. By the time Anbu arrived, Baki had fled, but not before Naruto severed two of his fingers. Hayate wheezed his thanks. The sand. They're planning an invasion. Naruto collapsed on his apartment floor, bruised but triumphant. Hiruzen, Makoto, and Yugo had pushed him to his limits, but he'd survived. Haku knocked softly, medical kit in hand. Let me help. As she treated his wounds, Naruto's thoughts drifted to the finals. To Gaara, to Orochimaru, to Sasuke's haunted eyes. We'll face it together, he vowed. In a hidden lab, Orochimaru examined Sasuke's cursed seal data. Kabuto entered, smirking. Danzo's route won't interfere. The stage is set. Orochimaru licked his lips. Perfect. Let the games begin. The sun hung high over the Chunin exams arena, its rays reflecting off the polished stone floor. The stands were packed with villagers, shinobi, and dignitaries from nations. The air buzzed with anticipation as the finalists stood in the center of the arena, their eyes locked on the Hokage's podium. Tsunade, the fifth Hokage, stepped forward, her presence commanding silence. Beside her stood Hiruzen Sarutobi, the retired third Hokage, his wise eyes scanning the finalists. Today, you will prove your worth as shinobi, Tsunade declared, her voice carrying across the arena. But know this, the matchups will be decided randomly, here and now. This is not just a test of strength but of adaptability and resolve. A murmur of unease rippled through the finalists. Naruto glanced at his friends and rivals, Sasuke, Haku Yuki, Neji, Shikamaru, Temari, Gaara, and Dosu. Gaara's hollow stare sent a chill down his spine, while Sasuke's cursed seal pulsed ominously. The matchups were drawn. Naruto Uzumaki vs Neji Hyuga. Sasuke Uchiha vs Dosu Kinuta. Shikamaru Nara vs Temari. Haku Yuki vs Gaara. The arena fell silent as Naruto and Neji faced each other, the air crackling with tension. Neji's Byakugan flared, veins pulsing like live wires around his eyes. Naruto's 6 eyes glowed faintly, his tanto resting lightly in his grip. Neji struck first, his palms slicing through the air with lethal precision. 8 trigrams, 64 palms. His strikes blurred, aiming to seal Naruto's chakra. Naruto leapt backward, his blade flashing. Tempest gale breathing. First form, rippling stream. The tanto cut a serpentine path through Neji's assault, water-like chakra rippling in its wake. The crowd gasped as Naruto's blade grazed Neji's sleeve, tearing fabric but missing flesh. Neji scoffed. Your tricks won't save you, dead last. He spun, unleashing palm rotation, a vortex of chakra deflecting Naruto's follow-up strikes. Naruto skidded back, panting. He's faster than I remember. He split into 6 shadow clones, each lunging from different angles. Futile. Neji snarled, his Byakugan tracking every clone. But Naruto's real body hung back, channeling chakra into his blade. Tempest gale breathing. Second form, Gale's fury. A whirlwind of slashes shredded Neji's rotation, forcing him to retreat. Neji's composure cracked. You think you can defy fate? I don't care about fate. Naruto roared, his tanto humming. Tempest gale breathing. Third form, thunderclap flash. Lightning crackled along the blade as he closed the distance in a flash. Neji barely dodged, the thunderous strike cratering the ground where he'd stood. You're impossible. Naruto pressed, relentless. Fourth form, Typhoon's Edge. A cyclone of blade strikes drove Neji to the arena's edge. With a final pivot, Naruto disarmed him, the tanto resting at Neji's throat. Yield, Naruto said, breathless. Neji's eyes widened, then narrowed. I yield. Winner. Naruto Uzumaki. Dosu's metallic arm guard hummed ominously as he faced Sasuke. Your Sharingan won't save you from my sound. Dosu unleashed decapitating airwaves, the invisible force ripping through the arena. Sasuke's Sharingan tracked the vibrations, but the blast shattered the ground beneath him, sending him sprawling. Pathetic, Dosu sneered. Ultimate airwaves. A concussive roar erupted, pinning Sasuke against the wall. Sasuke's cursed seal flared, tendrils of dark chakra snaking up his neck. Chidori. Blue lightning erupted from his palm, piercing Dosu's sound waves. Dosu staggered, blood dripping from his ears. You're a monster. Sasuke's eyes glowed crimson. Fire style. Phoenix flower jutsu. Fireballs forced Dosu into a corner. The Uchiha lunged, Chidori screeching. Dosu countered with a desperate blast, but Sasuke twisted, driving the Chidori into his chest. Dosu collapsed, smoke rising from his scorched armor. Sasuke stood panting, the cursed seal receding. Kakashi's warning echoed in his mind. The mark will devour you. Winner. Sasuke Uchiha. Temari smirked, her fan slicing the air. This'll be over in 5 minutes. Shikamaru yawned. Too long. Let's make it 3. Temari's wind-scythed jutsu tore through the arena, but Shikamaru sidestepped, shadows stretching like ink. Shadow possession jutsu. Temari leapt skyward, avoiding the trap. Predictable. She spun, unleashing cyclone dance, a tornado ripping up the ground. Shikamaru ducked behind debris, calculating. She always retreats after 3 strikes. He feigned a stumble, luring her closer. Got you. Temari swung her fan, but Shikamaru's shadow snapped upward. Shadow strangled jutsu. Temari froze mid-air, forced into a mock salute. What? Shikamaru smirked. Checkmate. A flick of his wrist detonated hidden explosive tags, the blast knocking Temari out of bounds. Winner. Shikamaru Nara. Gaara's sand hissed like a living thing, his eyes vacant. Your blood will sat Shukaku. Haku's senbon gleamed. I won't let you harm anyone else. Gaara's sand surged, but Haku danced between the grains, her ice mirrors materializing. Ice style. 1,000 flying needles. Senbon rained down, piercing Gaara's defenses. The sand recoiled, but Gaara grinned madly. Sand burial. The arena floor erupted, crushing Haku's mirrors. Haku gasped, blood trickling from a cut. I can't outpower him, but I can outlast him. She weaved hand signs, her breath frosting. Ice style. Diamond dust storm. A blizzard engulfed Gaara, ice crystals slicing his skin. For a moment, his sand faltered, until Shukaku's roar shook the arena. Sand tsunami. A tidal wave of sand devoured Haku's storm. She barely erected an ice shield, the impact shattering her defenses. Gaara loomed, sand coiling around her throat. Die. Haku's eyes softened. You're lonelier than I thought. Gaara froze, the sand trembling, but Haku collapsed, her body battered. Winner. Gaara. As Gaara's victory echoed, the sky darkened. Orochimaru's voice slithered through the air. 4 violet flames formation. A barrier sealed Tsunade and Hiruzen atop the podium. Orochimaru. Tsunade snarled, slamming her fist against the violet flames. Hiruzen's grip tightened on his staff. Stay calm. We'll break free. Below, sound ninja swarmed the arena. Naruto rallied the genin. Protect the villagers. Go. Shikamaru and Temari formed an uneasy truce, her wind scattering enemies as his shadows tripped them. Sasuke fought beside Sakura, his cursed seal flaring with every strike. But Gaara's gourd cracked, Shukaku's chakra spilling out. The One-Tail's laughter boomed. Freedom. Naruto stared up at the transforming Gaara, his tanto trembling. This isn't over. Haku limped to his side. We fight together. The sky above KingHKS darkened with smoke, and chakra clashes as the invasion raged on. Roars of battle echoed through the village. But Naruto had one goal amidst the chaos: to take Gaara far away before he could wreak further havoc. With his speed, Naruto placed suppression and containment seals on Gaara, temporarily restraining his movements. However, he knew it wouldn't last long. Before he could leave, he summoned every ounce of his chakra to create as many shadow clones as possible, sending them to aid in the defense of Konoha. Haku, determined to go with him despite her wounds, stood by his side. But before she could insist, a clone swiftly knocked her unconscious and carried her to the nearest rescue shelter. Meanwhile, in the center of the village, Orochimaru stood before Hiruzen and Tsunade, his lips curling into a sadistic grin. His fingers weaved through the air, completing the Edo Tensai technique. From the dust and eerie glow, 4 figures emerged: Bawako Sarutobi, Hashirama Senju, Tobirama Senju, and Nawaki Senju. The moment Tsunade and Hiruzen laid eyes on their loved ones, a deep rage boiled within them. You bastard! Tsunade's voice cracked with fury, chakra surging through her fists. Hiruzen clenched his staff. You will pay for this, Orochimaru. The battle erupted within the 4 flames barrier, preventing anyone from intervening. Hashirama and Tobirama, despite their legendary status, were being controlled by Orochimaru, while Nawaki and Bawako moved mechanically, their souls trapped in servitude. The sheer force of the battle shook the rooftops as Tsunade and Hiruzen unleashed their full power. No shinobi could aid them, forced to watch from outside the barrier. Beyond the stadium, Jiraiya summoned Gamabunta, leading the fight against the monstrous snake summons and Sanagakure's shinobi. The toads clashed against the snakes, their enormous forms shaking the battlefield. Jiraiya, despite his usual carefree nature, fought with deadly precision, ensuring no enemy could advance toward the village's core. Far from the village, Naruto found himself at a disadvantage against Gaara. The containment seals had already worn off, and Gaara fought like a cornered beast. Naruto dodged claw swipes and sand spears, each attack becoming more vicious. With every move, Naruto struggled to find an opening. Then, he saw it. Pouring all his chakra into a final blow, Naruto struck Gaara with a devastating Rasengan, sending him skidding across the battlefield. But the attack only enraged the sand shinobi. Blood dripped from Gaara's lips as his body began to shift. Shukaku took over. The One-Tail's monstrous form erupted from the sand, towering over Naruto like a nightmare incarnate. The beast's eyes gleamed with malevolent glee as it let out a bellowing laugh. You are nothing, little pest. Shukaku roared, forming a massive wind bullet. It surged forward at an impossible speed. Naruto's body tensed, there was no time to dodge. Then, everything slowed. Lightning crackled around him as his senses expanded. Instinct took over, and before he could comprehend what was happening, he moved with impossible speed. Storm release coursed through his veins. He felt the power surge, unrestrained, uncontrolled, but his body knew what to do. Storm release. Hydra Cannon. A colossal blast of storm-infused energy erupted from Naruto's hands, carving through Shukaku's form. The attack disintegrated a massive chunk of the tailed beast, forcing Gaara to awaken within. The surge of pain and fear shattered Shukaku's control, causing the monstrous form to crumble away. Gaara, now vulnerable and exhausted, gazed at Naruto in confusion. The blonde shinobi, panting, reached out a hand. "You don't have to fight alone anymore." Temari and Kankuro, who had been watching from the sidelines, rushed forward, hesitant but desperate to protect their brother. They saw the change in Gaara's eyes, the realization of something he had never known before. Family. Purpose. Taking his siblings' hands, Gaara finally understood. He had something to live for. Just as Naruto's legs gave way from exhaustion, Kakashi appeared in a blur, catching him before he hit the ground. "You did well, Naruto," Kakashi said with a rare smile. Back in the stadium, one of Naruto's clones, witnessing the brutal fight between Tsunade, Hiruzen, and Orochimaru, turned to the Anbu. "The roof. Destroy it." The Anbu hesitated. It was a desperate move but better than inaction. They acted, unleashing explosive tags that shattered the structure. The barrier faltered, breaking just in time, but it was too late. Hiruzen, using the last of his strength, completed the Reaper Death Seal. The Shinigami's ghastly form loomed behind him, chains of death wrapping around Hashirama, Tobirama, Bawako, and Nawaki. Their souls were freed, their faces at peace. Orochimaru barely had time to react before the Shinigami's blades slashed through his hands, sealing them away forever. A scream of agony echoed through the battlefield as Orochimaru's jutsu was undone. Tsunade, grief-stricken but resolute, clenched her fists. She turned to pursue Orochimaru, but he had already escaped, leaving behind only the unconscious body of Tayuya. The invasion was over, but Konoha had suffered. Buildings lay in ruins, the wounded were many, and the fallen were honored. Tsunade stood tall despite her sorrow, carrying the weight of her title. "We rebuild," she declared. Naruto, still recovering, watched the sunrise, knowing that this battle had changed everything. His path, Gaara's future, and the village's destiny had all been rewritten. But this was only the beginning. As he closed his eyes, the storm within him remained, crackling with newfound power. Konoha's streets were draped in black. The air hung heavy with grief as villagers gathered to honor Hiruzen Sarutobi, the third Hokage. Tsunade stood at the forefront, her face stoic but her fists trembling. Beside her, Konohamaru clutched Hiruzen's old hat, tears streaming silently. Amid the somber crowd, a ripple of whispers spread. Minato and Kushina Uzumaki, flanked by their children Menma and Mito, stepped into view. Their arrival was met with icy silence. Tsunade's eyes narrowed as they approached. "You got nerve showing up now." Minato lowered his head. "We came to pay our respects, and to see our son." Kushina's voice wavered. "We heard about the invasion. Is Naruto alive?" Tsunade cut in coldly. "Thanks to people who stayed." After the funeral, Tsunade summoned Minato and Kushina to her office. Naruto lingered outside his back against the wall, listening. "You abandoned him," Tsunade snarled, slamming a scroll onto her desk. "For a prophecy from a senile toad. Look what it cost him. Look what it cost us." Minato's hands clenched. "We thought it was the only way to protect him." Gamamaru's vision. Gamamaru's vision? Tsunade laughed bitterly. "You let a drug-addicted relic dictate your child's life? Naruto grew up alone, thinking he was nothing. And Hiruzen died cleaning up your mess." Kushina flinched as if struck. We didn't know. You didn't try to know," Tsunade hissed. "Get out. Start by facing what you've broken if you want to fix this." That evening, Minato and Kushina found Naruto at the training grounds, sitting beneath a tree, his Tanto resting beside him. He didn't acknowledge them as they approached. "Naruto," Minato started hesitantly. "Can we talk?" Naruto let out a slow breath, eyes fixed on the sky. "Talk," Kushina knelt before him, her voice thick with emotion. We made mistakes, but we never stopped loving you. Naruto's lips curled into a humorless smile. Love? You mean the kind of leaving your kid behind and raising his siblings like a happy family? Minato winced. It wasn't like that. Then what was it? Naruto finally looked at them, eyes cold. What excuse do you have for throwing me away? Kushina reached for his hand, but he pulled back. Tears welled in her eyes. We thought we were protecting you. By pretending I didn't exist? Naruto scoffed. You weren't protecting me. You were protecting yourselves from the guild. Behind a tree, Menma clenched his fists, anger boiling inside him. He couldn't stand the way Naruto spoke to their parents. With a furious cry, he lunged at Naruto. You bastard, stop talking like that about them. Before Menma's fist could land, Naruto sidestepped effortlessly. A sharp chop to the back of the neck sent Menma crumpling to the ground, unconscious. Naruto turned back to Minato and Kushina, his face blank. Go home, you don't belong here. Kushina sobbed, but Naruto didn't look back as he walked away. Naruto sat atop the Hokage monument, staring at the sunset. Kakashi materialized beside him, mask hiding his expression. They're here, Kakashi said quietly. Don't care, Naruto muttered. Makoto Uchiha approached next, her Sharingan soft. Pain doesn't vanish by ignoring it, Naruto. They ignored me, he snapped. Why should I give them anything? Yugo joined them, her Kodachi glinting. Because you're better than their mistakes. Always have been. Naruto said nothing, but his grip on Hiruzen's old scarf tightened. Mito found Naruto at a quiet training ground the next day, a determined look in her eyes. Teach me. Naruto raised a brow. Teach you what? Fuinjutsu. Kenjutsu. Everything you know. Naruto studied her, then sighed. Why? Mito hesitated before speaking. Because. I want to be stronger. I want to understand you. Naruto's gaze softened. You want to learn? Mito nodded. Naruto tossed her a wooden training sword. Show me how you stand. She took a stance, slightly wobbly but determined. Naruto circled her, correcting her posture. You got a long way to go. Mito grinned. Good, that means I get to learn from the best. For the first time in a long while, Naruto chuckled. Alright, Mito, let's get started. Konohamaru found Naruto later, trailed by Enma, Hiruzen's grizzled monkey summon. The old man left you something, Enma rasped, tossing two scrolls. One bore Naruto's name, the other Konohamaru's. Naruto unsealed his scroll. Pages spilled with Hiruzen's handwriting, sealing techniques, political strategies, notes on the six eyes, and a map to Uzu Shioakure. He wanted you to reclaim your clan's legacy, Enma said. Uzu Shioakure holds answers, and power. Konohamaru sniffed. I'm gonna be Hokage, just like him. Right, Naruto ni? Naruto ruffled his hair. Yeah, better than all of us. Days later, Naruto stood at the village gates, pack slung over his shoulder. Tsunade, Kakashi, and Mito saw him off. You sure about this? Tsunade asked. Naruto glanced at Hiruzen's scarf around his neck. He believed in me. Time I did, too. Mito hugged him. Come back safe, Ni-san. As he left, Menma watched from the shadows, fists clenched. Naruto stood at Konoha's gates at dawn, a weathered pack slung over his shoulder. The village still bore scars from the invasion, but his path now led elsewhere. Behind him, a soft voice broke the silence. Did you think I'd let you go alone? He turned to see Haku Yuki, her lavender hair tied back, a medical kit, and Tonto strapped to her waist. Her wounds from the Gaara fight had healed, but faint bandages still peeked beneath her sleeves. Naruto raised an eyebrow. You're supposed to be resting. Haku smiled faintly. Resting is what graves are for. You need someone to keep you from drowning in those whirlpools. They set off toward wave country, the road winding through mist-shrouded forests and crumbling coastal towns. The journey to Uzu Shioakure was anything but smooth. After surviving the whirlpools, Naruto and Haku set up camp on the outskirts of the ruins. As Naruto gathered firewood, Haku prepared a meal, her movements precise but playful. You're hopeless at cooking, she teased, nudging him aside as he nearly burned the fish. Let me handle this. Naruto grinned, leaning back against a rock. Hey, I survived on cup ramen for years. This is gourmet for me. Haku rolled her eyes, handing him a perfectly grilled fish. You'd starve without me. Later, a sudden downpour forced them into a cramped cave. Naruto's cloak draped over Haku's shoulders as she shivered. "You're warm," she muttered, cheeks pink. "Yeah, well, you're freezing," Naruto replied awkwardly, staring at the fire. The rain pattered outside. For a moment, the weight of their mission faded. Days later, they reached the shores of Wave, where fishermen whispered of Uzu Shioakure's cursed waters. A rickety boat awaited them, its owner refusing to venture further. "The whirlpools swallow ya whole," he warned. "No one survives the Uzumaki's wrath." Naruto tossed him a pouch of coins. "We'll take our chances." The sea roared as they sailed into the storm. Towering whirlpools churned around them, dragging the boat toward oblivion. Haku gripped the rails, her knuckles white. "Naruto." He placed a hand on the hull, his chakra flaring. The whirlpools paused, then parted like loyal hounds recognizing their master. The water stilled, forming a path to the distant ruins. Haku stared. "How?" Naruto's 6 eyes glowed. "They remember my blood." In Konoha, Menma paced his room, fists trembling. The whispers followed him everywhere. Naruto saved the village. Naruto defeated Gaara. Naruto, Naruto, Naruto. Kushina knocked softly. "Menma, let's train together. Your father can teach you." "I don't want his help." Menma snapped. "Why does everyone care about him now?" Mito lingered in the doorway, her voice gentle. "He's our brother. We're a family." Menma scoffed. "Family? He's a stranger. And you're just his shadow." Later, Danzo found him in the forest, smashing trees with wild fireballs. Such rage, Danzo mused. Wasted on envy. What if I told you there's a way to surpass him? Menma's eyes narrowed. How? Danzo unveiled a cursed seal scroll. Power demands sacrifice. Will you pay the price? Tsunade's office echoed with the clatter of scrolls. Hinata and Sakura stood at attention, determination burning in their eyes. "We want to train under you, Lady Tsunade," Sakura said. "We won't hold back." Tsunade smirked. "Prove it, Hinata. Break that boulder with your gentle fist." Sakura, "Heal this wound in under a minute." Hinata's palms glowed as she struck the boulder, Fisher's spider webbing across its surface. Sakura's hands trembled over Tsunade's self-inflicted cut, green chakra stitching flesh seamlessly. "Not bad," Tsunade grunted. "But you'll need thicker skin. Starting tomorrow, you'll train with the Anbu." No whining. Under Danzo's tutelage, Menma endured grueling trials. A cursed seal burned into his arm, its dark chakra amplifying his rage. Again, Danzo barked as Menma's fireball incinerated a target. Naruto would have vaporized it. Menma roared, flames engulfing the forest. "I'll make him regret leaving me behind." Back in Uzu Shioakure, its shattered spires loomed ahead, crimson spirals cracked but defiant. As they docked, the stench of decay hit them. Rotting corpses in tattered Uzumaki robes littered the streets, bones picked clean by scavengers. Foreign ninja skeletons lay beside them, blades still lodged in Uzumaki ribs. Naruto fell to his knees, trembling. They never buried them. They just left them to rot. Haku placed a hand on his shoulder. "We'll give them peace." For hours, they worked. Naruto carved graves with his tanto, and Haku weaved ice coffins for the Uzumaki dead. He burned the invaders' remains, their ashes scattering on the vengeful wind. "Sleep well," Naruto whispered, planting the Uzumaki crest atop the mass grave. "Your fight's over." At the island's heart stood a crumbling temple, its doors sealed with a spiral lock. Naruto's chakra pulsed, and the mechanism clicked open. Haku hesitated. "This is your family's sanctum. I'll keep watch here." Naruto nodded, stepping inside. The air hummed as torches flared to life, revealing a circular chamber lined with faded murals of Uzumaki warriors wielding storms. At the center stood 9 stone tablets, each carved with a tempest sigil. A chorus of voices echoed. "Welcome home, child of storms." Elderly spirits materialized, Uzumaki clan leaders, their translucent forms crowned with fiery red hair. The eldest stepped forward, her eyes sharp as lightning. "You carry our blood, yet your body remains a locked vault." The 6 eyes, the storm release. "You wield fragments, not the whole." Naruto clenched his fists. "Teach me." "First, you must survive the trials of ascension, 3 tests forged by our ancestors. Each will break you, or remake you." The floor shuddered. A staircase spiraled downward into darkness. "Begin with the trial of the Hurricane Labyrinth. Prove you are worthy of the storm." Naruto emerged from the temple at dusk, his face etched with resolve. Haku stood waiting, her ice mirrors reflecting the sunset. How long will these trials take? She asked. As long as they need to, Naruto said, staring at the horizon. Stay or go. Your choice. Haku sheathed her tanto. I didn't come this far to quit. They camped in the temple's shadow, the ghosts of Uzu Shioakure whispering in the wind. The air crackled with electricity as Naruto stepped into the labyrinth. The stone corridor twisted ahead, its walls shifting like waves in a storm. Haku's voice echoed faintly behind him. Stay strong, Naruto. Before the entrance was sealed shut. The trial had begun. A whisper slithered through the darkness. Are you ready to face yourself? A gust of wind howled, and the world blurred. Naruto staggered as the ground beneath him transformed, twisting his reality into the first test. Naruto found himself standing on a familiar bridge under a blood-red sky. A younger version of himself, ragged and alone, sat on the railing, swinging his legs. Look at you, the boy sneered, eyes hollow. Hero of the village? You're still the same abandoned kid, desperate for love. Naruto clenched his fists. That's not true, isn't it? Shadows pooled at the boy's feet, rising into twisted figures, villagers from his past, whispering insults. Demon, monster, you should never have been born. Pain stabbed at Naruto's chest. These voices were real, they had haunted him once. But now, he exhaled, stepping forward. Yeah, they hurt. Yeah, I was alone. But I'm not just that scared kid anymore. He knelt before his younger self, looking him in the eyes. You're a part of me. And I won't hate you anymore. The shadow boy's eyes widened. The figures melted away, and the darkness dispersed. Naruto stood alone again, the storm was momentarily calm. Lightning split the sky. Naruto now stood on a battlefield littered with fallen comrades. Blood seeped into the earth as specters of his friends, Sasuke, Sakura, Kakashi, lay motionless. A lone figure stood amidst the carnage, his reflection in dark armor. You hesitate, Dark Naruto mocked, raising a kunai dripping with blood. You call yourself a shinobi, yet you can't make the hard choices. Naruto's breath hitched. No, I'd never let this happen. The dark figure advanced. Then prove it. Sacrifice one life to save 1,000. Kill an innocent to stop a war. He held out a blade. Can you? Naruto's fingers twitched, but he didn't take the weapon. A shinobi isn't just a killer. I will protect my friends, but not by becoming a monster. Dark Naruto sneered. Then you'll always be weak. Naruto smirked. No, I'll always be me. The storm roared, and the battlefield crumbled into dust. Naruto stood atop a spiraling tower, wind threatening to tear him away. Before him, a monstrous storm surged, a vortex of raw power. At its eye stood the eldest Uzumaki spirit. The final trial, she intoned. Surrender to the storm, or become its master. The wind howled, tearing at Naruto's clothes. His muscles screamed as he fought to stand. Strength isn't about power. Naruto roared. It's about never giving up. The storm's fury pressed against him, but he stepped forward, defying its might. His chakra flared, golden energy wrapping around him. The Uzumaki spirit's eyes gleamed. The world does not need another merciful fool, she said. As a leader, it is better to be feared than loved if one cannot be both. Will you bear the weight of such a truth? Naruto's eyes burned with determination. I will be ruthless to my enemies and kind to the innocent. That is my way. The storm raged one final time before bowing to him. The Uzumaki spirit smiled. Then prove it. She vanished, and the tempest lunged. Naruto braced himself, and leapt into the heart of the storm. The wind died. Naruto opened his eyes to find himself back in the temple, Haku's worried face above him. You did it, she murmured, relief washing over her. Lightning crackled at Naruto's fingertips. He clenched his fist, feeling a new power coursing through him. The eldest Uzumaki spirit's voice echoed in his mind. You have passed. The storm is yours to wield. As dawn broke over Uzu Shioakure, Naruto stood, ready for the battles to come. Naruto staggered from the labyrinth, Haku catching him as he fell. Her hands glowed with healing chakra. You look terrible, she said, voice trembling. He grinned weakly. Still, better than your cooking. The Uzumaki spirits emerged, their forms radiant. The eldest elder extended a whirlpool-patterned tanto. This blade, Uzu Shio's fang, is yours. Wield it as the storm's heir. A final scroll materialized. Storm Release, Celestial Tempest, a technique only the clan's leader could master. Naruto clutched Uzu Shio's fang, its edge humming with storm chakra. Haku's ice mirrors reflected his resolve. In Konoha, Menma's cursed seal pulsed as he faced Danzo. "I want Naruto's head," Menma snarled. Danzo smirked. "First, prove you can kill his shadow." A root agent tossed him a scroll. Forbidden Art, Inferno Coffin. Menma's eyes burned red as he unfurled it. In Konoha, Menma ignited a forest with black flames, Danzo's smile sharp as a blade. The true storm is yet to come. As Naruto and Haku sailed home, she finally asked, "Why did you let me come?" He met her gaze. "Because I trust you, more than anyone." Haku's cheeks flushed. Before she could reply, a storm crow descended, a message from Tsunade. The sound of battle shattered the silence of the Uchiha district. The Sound Four moved swiftly, their target clear, Sasuke Uchiha. However, they had not anticipated resistance. Makoto and Izumi stood before Sasuke, kunai drawn. Kimimaro stepped forward, his bone blade gleaming under the moonlight. "You will not take him," Makoto declared, her Sharingan blazing. Jirobo lunged, his monstrous strength sending shockwaves through the ground. Makoto met him head-on, weaving hand signs. Fire Release, Grand Fireball Technique. A wall of flames erupted, forcing Jirobo to stagger back. Izumi flickered behind Kidomaru, dodging his golden webbing with precise movements. She unleashed a flurry of kunai, forcing him to retreat momentarily. "Get back inside, Sasuke," Makoto ordered, but Sasuke refused. His hands shook as he activated his Sharingan. He had lost his father, and now he was watching his mother fight for his life. Kimimaro surged forward, his dance of bones striking fast. Makoto barely dodged, her movements growing sluggish from exhaustion. A piercing lance of bone shot through her shoulder, drawing blood. "Makoto!" Izumi screamed, attempting to reach her, only to be intercepted by Kidomaru's webbing. Her vision blurred as she struggled against the sticky binds. Sasuke's breath quickened. "No, I won't lose them." With a roar, he charged forward, lightning crackling around his hand. Chidori. His attack nearly pierced through Kimimaro, but the Kagaya warrior dodged at the last second, kicking Sasuke aside effortlessly. Makoto forced herself up, blood dripping from her wounds. She turned to her son, eyes filled with sorrow and pride. "Run, Sasuke." A powerful blow from Jirobo sent her crashing against a stone pillar. Sasuke's scream echoed through the night as darkness consumed him. Miles away, Itachi Uchiha sat in quiet meditation when a sudden, piercing pain tore through his senses. His Sharingan flared involuntarily, a vision flashing before his eyes. His mother, gravely injured. Izumi, broken and bloodied. Sasuke, powerless. And standing over them, the monstrous figures of the Sound Four. Orochimaru's men. Itachi's hands curled into fists, his usually composed facade cracking. He had tolerated many things in his pursuit of peace, but this? This was unforgivable. A slow, chilling rage settled within him, more potent than any emotion he had felt in years. He rose to his feet, his Akatsuki cloak billowing behind him. "Kisame." His voice was calm, yet lethal. "I have a new target." The shark-like shinobi raised a brow. "Orochimaru?" Itachi's crimson gaze darkened. "I will kill him with my own hands." Naruto and Haku stood at the ship's bow, the sea wind whipping at their clothes. The message from Tsunade burned in Naruto's mind. Menma has gone rogue. His hands clenched around Uzu Shio's fang. "Menma, what have you done?" Haku placed a hand on his shoulder. "We'll make it in time." Naruto nodded, but doubt gnawed at him. The bond he had with Menma, the one thing he thought unshakable, was slipping away. And as the storm clouds gathered ahead, he knew a reckoning was coming. Time had not been kind to Menma. While Naruto journeyed to Uzu Shioakure, Menma's jealousy festered, turning into something far darker. Under Danzo's guidance, he trained in secret. The forbidden arts of Root were brutal, designed to turn shinobi into weapons. Each mission stripped away more of his hesitation, replacing it with cold efficiency. His hatred for Naruto was the fuel Danzo needed to mold him. One night, an Anbu infiltrated the Root compound. Hidden in the shadows, they watched as Danzo presented Menma with an ancient scroll. Forbidden Art, Inferno Coffin. Menma unsealed it, his cursed seal pulsing violently. His eyes gleamed with something unrecognizable, something monstrous. The Anbu vanished, leaving only a whisper behind as they disappeared into the darkness. Tsunade-sama must know. Tsunade's fist shattered the wooden table. Danzo has gone too far. Minato stood beside her, his expression unreadable. But beneath his calm demeanor was a father's rage. The Anbu confirmed it? He asked. Yes. Tsunade's hands tightened into fists. He's manipulating Menma, feeding his darkness. Minato exhaled sharply. Then we end this now. That night, Konoha's forces descended upon Root's hidden bases. Minato and Kakashi led the assault, their Anbu forces clashing with Danzo's elite operatives. The underground hideouts trembled as explosions rocked the foundations. Kakashi weaved through the battlefield, his Sharingan tracking the movements of the Root agents. With swift precision, he cut down an enemy attempting to flee. Minato moved like a golden specter, teleporting between the battlefield and cutting through Root's ranks. However, Danzo was nowhere to be found. Then, as the dust settled, a clone of Danzo exploded in a violent burst of wind chakra. He tricked us, Kakashi realized grimly. Minato's eyes narrowed. No, he's still here. Just as they prepared to resume their pursuit, a shadow emerged from the depths of the compound. Menma. He stood at Danzo's side, his cursed seal fully activated. His gaze met Minato's and for the first time, there was no warmth. Only hatred. Without hesitation, they vanished into the night. Kushina sat in the Uzumaki compound, her hands clenched tightly around the edge of the wooden table. The room was silent except for the distant murmur of worried voices outside. She had spent the last hour trying to calm herself, but the news of Menma's betrayal and the impending clash with Naruto had shaken her to her core. This isn't happening. This can't be happening, she whispered, her voice breaking. Across from her, Mito stood with an expression of deep concern. Though younger than her brothers, she had inherited Kushina's sharp instincts and fierce loyalty. Her crimson hair, the mark of her Uzumaki heritage, framed her face as she clenched her fists. How did we let it come to this? Mito murmured. How did Menma fall so far? Kushina exhaled shakily, struggling to keep her emotions in check. She had fought so hard to keep her family together, to protect her children from the darkness that had once threatened her clan. And yet, now, her youngest son was walking the very path she had feared. But the pain didn't end there. Another messenger had arrived minutes ago, delivering the news that Makoto Uchiha, her closest friend, and Izumi, a dear part of their extended family, had been gravely injured in an attack by Orochimaru's Sound 4. The thought of Makoto, lying bloodied and broken after protecting her son, made Kushina's stomach twist with rage. This bastard, Orochimaru. He dares to go after my family, after Makoto and Izumi. Kushina's voice trembled with barely contained fury. And Danzo. If I ever see that snake, I'll make him regret everything he's done. Mito nodded, her eyes darkening. We need to do something. We can't just sit here while Konoha falls apart. Kushina's hands tightened into fists. Naruto and Minato will handle Menma. But when this is over, I swear, I will tear apart anyone who dares threaten my family again. The storm inside her was rising. And this time, there would be no mercy. The night air was thick with the scent of burning wood and blood as masked Anbu operatives sprinted through the streets of Konoha. The Root raid had already left tensions high, their forces scattered throughout the village in search of Danzo's hidden strongholds. But now, another crisis had erupted, one that demanded immediate action. Flashes of chakra signatures surged in the Uchiha district, flickering like dying embers in the wind. The Anbu, already spread thin, sensed the commotion and changed course, heading toward the heart of the disturbance. When they arrived, the scene before them was nothing short of devastation. The once proud Uchiha district lay in ruins, rooftops caved in, debris scattered across the stone pathways, and the scent of blood soaking the very air they breathed. Several Uchiha clan members were slumped against the shattered remnants of their homes, groaning in pain. Some were barely conscious, their breaths shallow, while others lay motionless, their bodies bearing the marks of brutal combat. Amidst the wreckage, a lone figure stood, swaying unsteadily on her feet. Makoto Uchiha. Her once pristine kimono was torn and soaked in crimson, her body riddled with wounds. One of her arms hung limply at her side, her shoulder clearly dislocated. Blood trickled down her forehead, yet her gaze remained fierce as she struggled to stay standing. Izumi Uchiha lay a few feet away, unconscious. Her chest rose and fell erratically, a testament to the severe injuries she had sustained in the battle. Her dark hair was matted with dirt and blood, and her left leg was twisted at an unnatural angle. The Anbu squad leader, clad in a wolf mask, stepped forward. "What happened here?" he demanded, his voice sharp and urgent. Makoto, gritting her teeth against the pain, forced herself to speak. Her voice was hoarse, barely above a whisper. "Orochimaru." The Anbu operatives stiffened at the name. They exchanged brief, knowing glances before immediately activating their communication seals. One of them vanished in a blur of speed, heading straight for the Hokage Tower to relay the information to Tsunade. The squad leader knelt beside Makoto, carefully placing a stabilizing hand on her shoulder. "You did well holding out this long. We'll take it from here." Makoto tried to protest, but darkness clawed at the edges of her vision. Her knees buckled, and the Anbu barely caught her before she collapsed completely. "Get them to the hospital. Now." Two Anbu swiftly lifted Makoto and Izumi, flashing away with them toward the medical facility. The Konoha hospital was a whirlwind of movement as medics rushed between rooms, tending to the injured from both the root raid and the attack on the Uchiha district. At the center of it all stood Tsunade Senju, the fifth Hokage, her hands glowing with healing chakra as she worked tirelessly to stabilize her patients. Beside her, Kushina Uzumaki assisted, her fiery hair tied back, her expression one of fierce determination. Though not a professional medic nin, her Uzumaki lineage granted her immense chakra reserves, allowing her to aid in the healing process where needed. As soon as the Anbu arrived with Makoto and Izumi, Tsunade snapped into action. She gestured sharply toward an empty bed. "Put her here. Kushina, help me with Makoto first, she's lost too much blood." Kushina nodded and pressed her hands over Makoto's abdomen, sending a steady stream of healing energy into the wound. The blood flow slowed, but the damage was extensive. Tsunade clenched her jaw. Damn it! They went straight for the vitals. She focused her chakra into her fingertips, knitting torn muscle and ruptured tissue back together. Sweat formed on her brow as she worked, but she pushed through, her years of experience guiding her hands with unwavering precision. As Makoto's breathing steadied, Kushina turned to look at her dear friend, a pained expression on her face. "Makoto, what have they done to you?" she whispered. Tsunade placed a reassuring hand on Kushina's shoulder. "She'll live, but the damage is severe. She'll need time to recover." Kushina exhaled sharply, her hands balling into fists. "And Sasuke? Where is he?" Tsunade's gaze darkened. "He's been taken by Orochimaru." Kushina's breath caught in her throat, her heart pounding against her ribs. "That snake. He's taken too much already." Tsunade turned her attention to Izumi, who was still unconscious. Her injuries, while not as severe as Makoto's, were significant. Tsunade ran a diagnostic scan, her brow furrowing. "She has a fractured leg and internal bleeding. But she'll make it." As she began healing Izumi, Kushina's mind raced. First, the Root Rebellion. Now, Orochimaru had made his move. And worst of all, Menma had sided with Danzo. A clash between her sons seemed inevitable. Kushina clenched her fists. "I won't let my family tear itself apart." She turned to Tsunade, her voice unwavering. "I'm going with them." Tsunade paused, her golden eyes locking onto Kushina's. "Kushina, I won't stand by while Menma walks down this path," Kushina said, her voice fierce. "And I won't let Orochimaru take Sasuke without a fight." Tsunade sighed heavily, knowing there was no stopping her once she had made up her mind. "Fine, but you listen to my orders. No reckless charges." Kushina smirked, her old fire returning. "No promises." The sea breeze was still fresh in their lungs when Naruto and Haku finally stepped onto the land leading back to Konoha. Their journey had been grueling, days spent navigating treacherous waters and traveling non-stop. But despite the exhaustion creeping into their muscles, there was no time to rest. Naruto's fingers instinctively gripped the hilt of Uzu Shio's fang, the tanto bestowed upon him by the spirits of his ancestors. The blade hummed with latent storm chakra, as if sensing the turmoil ahead. Beside him, Haku's normally composed face was taut with concern. Their hurried pace brought them closer to the village gates when suddenly, Whoosh! A figure materialized in front of them in a blur of silver and dark fabric. Kakashi Hatake. His lone eye observed them with an intensity Naruto hadn't seen in a long time. The atmosphere was thick with urgency. "Kakashi-sensei?" Naruto asked, confused by the masked Jonin's abrupt arrival. "We don't have time for greetings." Kakashi's voice was grave. "You need to come with me. Now." Naruto's expression darkened, but he nodded. Haku fell into step behind them as Kakashi led them through a different path, avoiding the main roads. Konoha was different than when they had left. There was a tension in the air. Anbu darted across rooftops, their movements swift and calculated. Civilians remained indoors, sensing the weight of an impending storm. Naruto clenched his fists. He could feel it. Something was wrong. Upon reaching the Hokage Tower, they were led into Tsunade's office, where a group of high-ranking shinobi had already gathered. Minato stood near the window, arms crossed, his expression unreadable. Shikaku Nara was beside him, quietly analyzing a set of documents. Tsunade looked up as they entered. Her normally fierce demeanor was tinged with frustration. "You took your time, brat," she muttered before gesturing for Naruto to sit. "No time for jokes, Ba-chan," Naruto responded, his tone matching hers. "What's going on?" Tsunade's eyes flickered toward Minato before she finally spoke. "Orochimaru has made his move." Silence fell over the room. Naruto's body tensed. "Explain." Tsunade exhaled. "The Sound 4 attacked the Uchiha district last night. They critically wounded Mikoto and Izumi before taking Sasuke." Naruto's breath hitched. "Sasuke was taken?" Minato turned to face him. "And that's not all." His voice was calm, but the underlying anger was evident. "Danzo has betrayed the village. He was in contact with Menma, manipulating him with promises of power. When we raided Route, Danzo fled." Naruto's world tilted. His brother, Menma, sided with Danzo? Kakashi stepped forward. "We have reason to believe that Orochimaru and Danzo's forces may be converging." The weight of the situation settled on Naruto's shoulders. His fists trembled. "Tch. Damn it." He punched the table, the wood cracking under his force. "First Sasuke, and now Menma? What the hell is happening?" Tsunade leaned forward. "This is where you come in, Naruto. We need to act fast. If Orochimaru and Danzo truly intend to join forces, we could be looking at a war." Minato took the lead. "We're splitting into 2 squads. I will personally lead the team to retrieve Menma and deal with Danzo." Naruto's gaze snapped to his father. "Then I'll go with you." "No," Minato said firmly. "Your task is just as important." He placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder. "You're leading the team to rescue Sasuke." Naruto stiffened. "Me?" Minato nodded. "Tsunade, Kakashi, and I agree that this is your mission. You're one of the only people Sasuke truly acknowledges. If he's being kidnapped by Orochimaru, you need to be the one to bring him back." Naruto swallowed. This wasn't just about Sasuke anymore. This was a battle for their bonds. Minato's orders were precise. "Naruto, your team will consist of Neji Hyuga, Rock Lee, Choji Akamichi, and Shikamaru Nara. Kakashi will be your backup if things go south." Naruto nodded, looking at his assembled comrades. Each of them was strong in their own right. Minato continued. "My team will include Anbu captains, Kushina, and myself. Our priority is capturing Danzo and bringing Menma home, by force, if necessary." Kushina's expression darkened. She had remained silent until now, but her hands trembled. If he raises a hand against you." Minato met her gaze. "I'll bring him back." She looked away, her heart warring between a mother's love and a shinobi's duty. Naruto exhaled. "All right, when do we move?" Tsunade's eyes hardened. "Immediately." At the border of the Land of Fire, in a secluded forest clearing, the remnants of Root gathered. Danzo stood beneath the moonlight, his bandaged face unreadable. Beside him, Menma stared ahead, arms crossed. The air shimmered, and suddenly, 4 figures appeared from the trees. "The Sound 4. Jirobo smirked. "Looks like you've seen better days, old man." Danzo ignored the comment. His gaze focused on the white-haired boy at the front. Kimimaro Kagaya, Orochimaru's most devoted follower, his cold gray eyes held no emotion. "Lord Orochimaru is expecting results," Kimimaro said. "Sasuke is with us as a prisoner. But if you truly wish to ally with us, we require proof of your worth." Danzo's expression didn't change. I have no need to prove anything. Kimimara's fingers twitched, bones protruding from his knuckles. Then I will decide. Menma stepped forward, the curse mark on his body pulsing. You want a fight? He sneered. I'll give you one. Kimimaro tilted his head. Show me, then. The tension was suffocating. Chakra flared. The battle was moments away from igniting. And as Naruto and Minato's teams closed in from separate directions. That's all for my now. If you enjoy, then please like, share and do comments.